Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Boyos Discuss, the podcast where we pick a topic and then shoot the shit about it for a while. I'm Matthew, and today I'm joined by my co-host Ross
Howdy.
and Ben.
Yo.
So today we're going to talk about perhaps one of the weirdest superhero movies ever made. It's Zack Snyder's Justice League. We'll be covering the prologue and parts 1 through 3 in today's episode, since the movie is 4 hours long.
4 hours.
Before we get into the synopsis, though, I figured we could talk about what this movie is and why it's just kind of weird. So originally, Zack Snyder was the director on Justice League, but his daughter passed away during the course of production of it, I think post-production in particular. But they basically had Joss Whedon, who had directed Avengers 1, and did he direct Avengers 2, do you know?
Yeah, maybe.
So he had directed Avengers, so they figured he would be kind of a good fill-in for that role. So Joss Whedon took over and he changed like a ton of shit. Some stuff I think was better. Like I think they like Danny Elfman did the score for the Joss Whedon cut, which I actually don't mind all that much. But a lot of the stuff he changed was just kind of like sort of weird stuff. Like they changed the color grading in that version and made it more like bright.
That needed to happen.
I don't agree with that. Because the problem is like their costumes weren't designed with that color grade in mind, so
Yeah.
they looked like kind of overblown. But in addition to that, they also changed like there was stuff with Cyborg and the Snyder cut that is not in the Whedon cut. Like as far as a lot of the character building stuff that they did with him, they basically were like, well, we don't want that. We're just gonna have you scream "booyah" every 10 seconds.
He was practically the main character in the Zack Snyder one.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
in the first half, you know. Well, oh wait, I guess you finished it. Well, don't
no
spoil
spoilers.
the shit, dog. Come on.
Yeah, we're just talking about.
That's why you shouldn't have done that.
But if you want like a really extensive list of the changes, there's an article on Den of Geek that I'll link to in the description for this that goes into like all of the nitty gritty on what's different. Because doing that would probably take an entire podcast in and of itself, and I just don't really feel like investing that kind of time into it. But basically the idea was that he tried to turn it into an Avengers clone, but another really big, I guess, point of contention was that Ray Fisher, who's the one who plays Victor Stone in this, allegedly there was some weird like racism allegations going on between him and Joss Whedon, and that's been something that's been kind of blowing up recently. And he basically was, I guess, so angered over how that was handled that he's not going to do like any I guess cyborg stuff in the future, which I think is kind of disappointing. But yeah, so because of all this stuff, the original cut comes out and it's really shitty. And just for years all these Zack Snyder fanboys were like campaigning for like the Snyder cut to get made and released, and then eventually Warner Brothers finally relented and answered the cries for the Snyder cut, and that's the movie we're talking about today. So I guess before we get into the synopsis, I figured we would just go over what everyone's history with this universe of DC movies is. I know Ben and I, we watched all of them together, but I guess we'll ask you, Ross, what was your, I guess, history with all of these first?
I mean, well, real quick, I want to talk about the Snyder versus Whedon cut stuff. Did they change any of the CGI at all between this and the original? Because Cyborg's still, like, CG-wise, he looked better, I think, but I don't know. I still wasn't a big fan.
He doesn't look great, and there were things that they added in this when he's in like his weird digital world thing.
Yeah,
that looked really
that was kind of neat, though. I don't know. We'll get into that.
It was kind of neat thematically, but like it didn't look very good. But like Steppenwolf, they completely changed how he looked.
Yeah.
Like he just looked like kind of like just a dude with a little bit of rills on his chin.
I thought he looked better.
Okay, you're right.
I think he looks cooler in this one, but we'll get into that. And like his design plays into his abilities a little bit. But
one other thing on the Snyder versus Whedon cut, when it was coming out, the first one, so I guess the Whedon cut, I remember like I watched it late because there's never really a good consensus about these DC movies, at least for this timeline, kind of when they came out first. And I heard about the controversy, and I guess I heard the wrong thing. I didn't know Snyder's like daughter passed away. That's so sad. I just heard they like fired someone midway through or something, and they pulled this other guy in and made this mess of kind of change and together. And I had no idea that his daughter died, man. That's horrible. But
yeah, I felt like I learned that even when Joss Whedon, or before Joss Whedon put out his cut, I was like, fuck Zack Snyder. I'm glad he's off the project. He sucks. And then they're like, yeah, his daughter died. I was like, ooh, I'm a.
Okay, so my history with these movies, I guess Matthew and I went over it a little bit earlier. I watched Man of Steel. I've seen Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, which are both before this in the timeline. I don't know what else there is. I know there's Batman versus Superman, which I realized when I started watching this one that I hadn't seen, so I watched that Friday night, and I fell asleep halfway through.
Monster there, yeah.
And so I watched that, and then I watched. I've seen the original Justice League, and then I just watched this one. I have not seen Aquaman. I don't know what. Is there anything else?
Justice League.
Yeah.
So I think that was all of them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm caught up timeline wise. Then that's good.
Yeah. And as far like I said, Ben and we had watched them together. I don't think I had seen any of them until I had watched them with you.
I saw Man of Steel in theaters, and I actually really liked it. Like, I know it gets a lot of hate, and it's not the Superman movie we all deserve, but it's good. I like it.
Oh yeah, and
like it's a different enough take that it doesn't like. I personally don't think it shits all over the Superman character. Like, I grew up on the animated series and love the comics, and Superman I always loved a lot. But and I was fine with it.
Yeah, and
I agree. It wasn't bad. Like I don't remember it being awesome, but I still was more positive than negative about that movie. I enjoyed it.
For me, it's like I don't know the reason why. Maybe I don't know. I like the DC extended universe for the most part, except for like Suicide Squad. Yeah. That's a story for another day. But like I just like how they feel more like I guess grounded in the sense that the characters aren't almost self-parodying at times. Like I think about like Avengers Endgame where there's like, oh, that's America's ass, and he's looking at his butt, and it's like I get it. Like it took them a while to get to that like tone. Like it didn't start off that way. Like Iron Man 1, if you watch that and compare it to like Endgame and the sense of humor, it like is very different, you know? And that one feels like more grounded, but
I don't know. It's also feeling like it's trying way too hard to be grounded, like with air quotes.
Yeah.
When there's aliens flying around and Wonder Women and fucking Amazons and Atlanteans, and they're like, yeah, this makes sense. I
think it's more that they're not like they look at like the I guess the more serious like impact of like when Superman fights fucking Zod and destroys parts of the city. That's like the inciting thing that causes Batman to be like, fuck him.
And I know we're not talking about Man of Steel. Another thing I really liked is they would combine a Superman story with the like, holy shit, there's alien life, and like it's a scary alien first contact.
Dude, it was an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Although super 9/11 like vibes with, I mean, at least the first part when he's destroying Gotham City, right? And then afterwards, it's basically American culture war with people on Batman's side scared of Superman, and they don't know what he's going to do and what he's capable of. So they're like, okay, we got to get rid of him just preemptively. And then the other side's like, well, I guess Superman's side, like, oh no, he's a good boy. He saves people, and he loves Lois, so he's a good boy. But I don't know. They didn't play it very well, but it was very interesting, the back and forth on that.
Yeah.
And that's like most of the movie. And then they're like Martha, but you know.
Yeah. So I guess since we've all seen the original cut of Justice League, like, what were y'all's thoughts of that version? I guess if we were just gonna, in a, like, I don't know, a couple sentences, just what were your thoughts on that old version?
Well, okay, so a couple sentences. I heard it was bad. I watched it drunk. It was still bad.
Yeah, that's like, I had heard it was bad, and I was like, there's no way it can be that bad, because it's like, I was like, it's the guy who did Avengers. It's probably, gonna be fine, but it's like, it's just so, like, I just think about, like, the fucking scene where it's Superman on, like, the smartphone that someone recorded, and where they, like, edited out Henry Cavill's mustache, because it's just, they had to do, like, a shit ton of reshoots to make that movie work with basically Joss Whedon's version of the story. So that's why they had weird stuff like that, where he had a mustache for Mission Impossible Fallout, and they were like, instead of just, like, putting makeup over it or, like, doing literally anything else, they just did, like, a quick CGI removal, and it looks fucking horrible.
They relied on CGI so much in that movie, and, like, even if the plot was better, the CGI, I think, still would have dragged it down. It was ugly, man.
Yeah.
That was a bad looking movie.
Yeah. Well, like,
especially for
we'll get into, like, some of the stuff that changed once we go into the synopsis. Are y'all ready to jump into that now?
I'll just say when I first saw Justice League, so I kind of had just, like, gone through my mourning phase. Like Man of Steel, I had hope. I was like, okay. Wonder Woman was good. I was like, sweet. And then, well, I think Batman Superman, was that before Wonder Woman?
Yes. Yeah. Wait, no. What it was?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It was like,
because the timeline doesn't match when they came out. It's hard for me to keep it straight.
I was like, okay, it can go up from here, like Marvel did. And then the Batman and Superman was just, like, so bad. Like, that to me was worse. Like, I dislike that movie more than Justice League. It's not a worse movie, but it took that hope away from me. And I was like, wow, this DC fucking sucks, man. Like, they just can't get their shit right. And then when Justice League came out, I'm like, yep. And that was kind of my reaction to it. Like, yeah, that's about as shitty as I was expecting. And was, like, very indifferent.
Batman versus Superman is, like, a significant foundation for Justice League too, and it's so shitty of a foundation, and they build on that.
They do this thing where, I don't know what, they're so fucking ready, just like primed to get to Justice League. I don't get it. You've only had, like, 3 movies.
Because Avengers made $1 billion.
Yeah, and you know how they did that? They built to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you could also have a bunch of other movies make a bunch of money. I don't understand this, like, full throttle ass blast. Like, we're going to introduce 4 new characters, build the Justice League, new villains, new plot lines, hit them with the biggest fucking villain and plot in DC Comics. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go too much into spoilers, but fucking, like, you're going to hit us with Darkseid already? Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah,
that's Thanos in the first Avengers movie, if the first Avengers movie introduced 4 of the Avengers in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, why? Slow down, man. Like, Batman and Superman did that too. They were just so ready to do the Batman-Superman story. They're like, well, could we see a little Batman? Or is it just going to fucking, oh, and Wonder Woman's in it now, and oh, Lex Luthor, and oh, this and that.
Dude,
I preempted this movie. And
I feel like they almost kind of ruined this timeline or this version of the universe because they rushed it so much. Like, Matthew and I were talking about it a little bit before we got going, and it's like, yeah, we got a little bit more of Victor or Cyborg's backstory this time, but how interesting would it be to, like, have a good, well done movie on Cyborg and the Flash? Like, I know we had the show, but that's not in the universe, and also I didn't watch all that because
Cyborg. He had his 5 seconds of fame in the Teen Titans animated show that only, like, people our age watched. We could have had a whole fucking really good Cyborg about, like, race and family and blah blah blah, the things they try to just deal with in 2 seconds and move on to the next scene in this, so that we can introduce the Flash.
I think they do it better in this version than the Whedon version, but
yeah,
because they give it enough time to breathe. But
that's the entire feeling of this movie is, yeah, it did this better than the Whedon version.
Yeah,
but is it good? No.
I think it's fine.
No.
But I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I still have.
You don't need to. You didn't know already. The first half about it doesn't.
Comparing it to the Marvel movies,
I liked it.
Comparing it to the Marvel movies, it's like a lot of the Marvel superheroes, when they were setting them up, not only got one movie to describe, like to say what they're doing, but like Iron Man, 3 movies. Thor, it was like 3 movies too. Like these dudes had multiple movies to start their story, get people interested in the character and how they fit into this universe before they actually had it come together. I don't know.
I think you got to give the audience time to build on suspending their disbelief. Like if they just threw Thor into the Avengers and they're just like, yeah, it's a god from Asgard. Moving on, and you didn't have this like, oh, Asgard exists. Oh, Thor's Loki, and there's this other world, and somehow it can come into our world, and I need to build on. Like it takes time and builds that with you. This one is just like Atlantis. Yeah, no, yeah, that's
and
thing.
Like even in the context of like, this version of Atlantis is different than the one we see in Aquaman.
Right.
Because like this one, in this version of in the Snyder Cut, they established that they cannot talk underwater unless they build a bubble around themselves, like an air pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a thing. And then like Mera, she talks with like a British accent. That's not a thing in Aquaman. Like they just speak with normal American accents. So it's like, it's just weird. Like there wasn't consistency in that, but it's just, it's odd.
I don't want DC to copy Marvel. Like I don't. I know they want to be different, but you literally like it's not even about copying those comics. It's about just doing a movie well and building the universe well. Like if Batman's going to be Nick Fury and building the Avengers Justice League, cool, whatever. Like have him do that, but don't just have him do it all in one movie. Like you got to pace it. You got to. Marvel did it by introducing Nick Fury in like an after credits, like, oh, we've noticed you, and you go, ooh, we're getting towards something. And then this one is just like all right at once, and it makes the movie suffer.
And how many years was it between the first Iron Man and Infinity War?
Oh,
I mean, it was a long ass time and so many movies, dude. They put so much effort, and as you said, like they put these little bits of information in, like hinting at the huge buildup that it came at the end. Like in every movie, you had an after credit scene that's showing like, build the anticipation, what's gonna happen next, kind of thing. Like, ooh, and this you're like, get everything all at damn once, it's ridiculous.
Like throughout the whole movie, doesn't matter what part of the movie you're in, they're still trying to introduce you to new things, and it's like, dude, slow the fuck down, man.
And it's so sad because it could be so interesting, and it just makes me think of what we're missing out on with these characters. Anyways,
all right, let's jump into the synopsis now. This is going to be a dense one, especially compared to fucking Alien, which was like they're walking in a hall. It's scary. Mm-hmm. there's a lot of ins and outs with this. So we open on the fight between Superman and Doomsday. Superman lets out his little death yell as he gets stabbed by Doomsday.
He lets out his death ripples.
His whop, whop, and it carries across the entire fucking globe, and it's like it's resonating with you.
Yeah, it made me roll my eyes in the first 10 seconds of the movie because he gets stabbed and his scream of death is so powerful that everyone hears it and it's a sound wave. I can get with that. He's Superman.
What was that?
He's dying. We don't know what that's like. But if it was just one solid sound wave and everyone for a second just heard like a death scream, I'd be like, holy shit. But it ripples. Why? It goes, what? Yeah, go, me.
It's trying to smack you with how cool all of this is. Like when they do the like freeze frame or slow motion circling around all the action shit.
Yeah, that was weird.
Look how cool we can make it.
The slow motion in this fucking movie.
Oh my god!
Put my eyeballs out.
They could have cut out like a half hour.
If they didn't have slow motion in this movie, it'd be an hour and a half. It is ridiculous. Every other scene, I swear to God. So we start with slow-mo. Cool.
Yeah, there's that whole thing with him screaming, and it goes to like the 3 cubes. Cyborg, his dad has one. The Atlanteans have one, and then the Amazonians have the 3rd one. And it also shows us Lex Luthor for some reason. and he's inside the Kryptonian like Genesis chamber thing, and he's like sitting in the goop, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?
The bell has been rung."
Yeah, whatever, whatever the hell he said. But yeah, so he's sitting in there, and so the Amazonians, they're real worried because after that yell, their cube starts to like crack, and we don't really know what that means yet, but we'll get back to that. From there, we go to a mysterious figure who's riding a horse across a mountaintop, and there's like a sick helicopter drone shot that's recording him. It's really cool. But
I'll tell you, I really appreciated this opening because it's doing the opening credits at the same time, and I like that.
It's better than the Whedon cut because the Whedon cut opens with Batman fighting one of the parademons immediately.
Oh,
and it's
really?
like, and they're just like, here it is. What's going on? I don't know. It's like, what? Whereas this, at least, it gives you some background on what the story is.
Yeah.
You know, and it like, I like that they don't just immediately be like Batman. Like I like that it's Bruce doing Bruce Wayne things.
Yeah.
You know, so
it paced it and gave the world scale, and there was no dialogue, and the opening credits and the score were happening, and it was like, it was carrying you into the movie, like, dude, just caressing you into the movie. I'm like, oh, thank you. I like that.
You know what? Speaking of that, speaking of Batman doing Batman things as Bruce Wayne, you know, I kind of liked how this movie, well, the first half, of course, showed the like heroes while they're not looking like they're superhero, while they're their real person, you know. I like their story like that, but then I guess my main problem is when they're all supposed to be, I guess, the hero version, and it I don't know. They try too hard to make it actiony and cool, I think. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. From there, though, we have, you know, the person who's walking up to the village, of course, is Bruce Wayne. He, like, pulls down his hood and takes off these cool goggles that he's got on. And he goes up to this, like, little fishing town. I think we're in, like, Iceland or something like that. So he goes towards the bar there. And this is the start of part one. It's where the big part one, don't count on it, Batman or whatever.
Yeah, they named the parts after quotes, and it was goofy every time.
Yeah. I didn't even, that's the thing, I didn't even list what that's the only one that came to mind.
Don't count on it, Batman.
Yeah.
Which didn't make sense for the entire part.
Nope.
From there, though, so we got Bruce. He goes to the bar, and he's trying to talk to the townsfolk about someone with superpowers who's been delivering them fish whenever there's a big freeze. And it pans over to Jason Momoa, who's like clearly the person they're talking about, because none of the other people look like they'd be the fucking you know, a fish talking.
Like, how do you know it's me? Have you seen your eyeballs, man?
Yeah. Like 6'5".
Have you seen all of their muscles you have
in Iceland?
In Iceland. So yeah, he's talking to him, and basically Bruce knows it's him, and they're just talking, and he's like, Aquaman just won't talk to him at all, but Bruce is like, what if I give you $25,000? Will that make you talk to me? And he's like, okay, fuck it. And he immediately gives the money to the villagers, which I thought was a neat little thing. So they go out and they talk, and Bruce tries to convince him to join the Justice League. Aquaman says no. Then he rips his shirt off and jumps into the water.
Dude.
And then then we got the women's choir of Iceland.
Yeah.
Who like start singing for like way too long.
Yeah.
And then one of them picks up his shirt and like sniffs
it in deeply. And like, dude, and this is what I'm talking, like, Zack Snyder, go fuck yourself. Like, at this part of the movie, get that shit out of them.
It was so weird.
And it's like, it's not just that they're singing in the background. No, like, Batman and Arthur leave, and then the camera stays on this fucking
and they
choir
just keep singing
for like 20 seconds of them just singing and breathing a sweater. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Are you trying to make
I thought it would have something to do, like something would happen after that, or like their saying would mean something, and then it's like, okay, that's the end of our scene.
And this movie is like these first few scenes are preparing you directly for what the movie's going to be.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I don't know, like for me, it's like the Spider-Man movies, each of them had like a thing that like him slamming into the wall, him doing something like that, that like kind of represented my I guess, feelings if you were to like encapsulate them. And despite the fact that I'm like, okay, this isn't like the worst thing ever, but just like the awkwardness and like the weird, like, okay, this is going on a little too long. That's the singing is what encapsulates, I guess, this movie.
That's when I was like, yep, all right, here we go. Like,
from there though, so Bruce leaves. He's got his tail between his legs because he wasn't able to convince him. We go to Martha, who's at the farm, the Kent family farm, with her dog Dusty. And we have like a little pan to basically Clark Kent's grave. And it's real sad because it's like it shows what's Clark Kent's dad's name? Whatever his dad's name. But it shows both of their graves, and then it shows that she's selling the farm, and she gets into her little U-Haul and she drives off with the dog.
And why? So why do they show Martha and Lois especially so much in this one when they're literally just sad? It's just showing them being. They have nothing to do with this, as far as I can tell so far. And it's just like, oh, Superman dead, we sad.
They'll be real happy, and you're not gonna know how happy they be if you ain't seen the sad.
Superman
so sad, Ross.
That's literally sad. Yeah.
I don't get it, man. They keep weaving in these scenes, and it's like, oh, they're sad. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've had some stuff spoiled for me that I won't say in this part, but as far as Lois Lane and why she's feeling the way she feels. But from there we go to Alfred and Bruce. They've gotten on this cool jet that he has, and they're talking about how he failed to get Aquaman to join up. And Alfred says, maybe a man who works alone out of a dark cave isn't an ideal recruiter. And it's like, yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I really like because it's Jeremy Irons as Alfred. I don't know.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the better casting choices.
Absolutely.
Throughout this and Batman v Superman, but
he might be my favorite Alfred in like any movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that, but I think he does a really good job of like just showing a different version of the character, because he's always been like in the movies, he's always been the the like posh British butler, and they'll like allude to his like dark past, like in the Dark Knight Rises. I think they did that, but this one feels like a more like, oh yeah, he's probably seen some shit. Like he's
and I agree with you on that. I kind of like this version of Alfred, although his like they tried to make both him and Bruce like salt and pepper hair, kind of like late middle age sexy guy, and it's like, okay, he's supposed to be his lifelong butler, supposed to have partially raised him and stuff. It doesn't make sense that they're nearly the same age looking. But other than that, I do kind of like him being kind of not super comedic relief, but also a little bit, and then kind of handyman stuff. I like him being more kind of in it,
Yeah.
Yeah. From there, though, we go to, let's see, Lois Lane. She's back in Metropolis. She's getting some coffee for this police officer, and then she goes to the place where Doomsday killed Superman.
And this is filmed like a music video.
Yeah.
Slow-mo and like
slow-mo,
a song
in
with
the
lyrics
rain. Yeah,
in
song with lyrics playing. So she goes there and she mopes a little bit. And that's that. But from there, I really like the transition going from because it's like a memorial for Superman, and it goes to the memorial in London on the London Bridge, and it's the black flag with the Superman logo hanging off of it. And I thought that was a cool transition. But from there, we're in London now, and we got some goons who show up just basically out of nowhere, and they fucking murk a guard and then go into this building. I don't know what the building is.
It's a bank, I think.
But but there's kids there.
Field trip to the bank.
Yeah. So
I don't think it was a bank. It was like a government building, because the kids, when the cops were there, they were like, "Oh, he's not lying. Kids are there because there's a field trip or something."
Yeah.
Why would they take a field trip to a bank? I don't think so.
Old bank.
I don't think so.
Maybe it's like a museum or something, or like I don't know. So like
it looks like a government building.
Yeah. So, there's all these like weird terrorist people who show up and they're taking these kids hostage, and then we get our first shot of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and she's looking real fine, I gotta say.
I mean, yeah, dude.
So she gets one of the goons with the lasso of truth and basically is like, hey, what the fuck are y'all doing here? Like, what's going on? And he's like, hey, we're these terrorists who want to get rid of technology. And
no, we want to send Europe back to the Dark Ages.
Okay. And it's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard
I'd
of.
ask why, but it's a comic movie and I don't care.
And so these dudes are like just the stereotypical baddies of like a gritty kind of comic-y book, no reason, and what they say later obviously just even leads into it more. But when they're first introduced, they just walk up and start gunning everyone down, like everyone in sight, and they have no emotion. They're just bad. And then when they say what they want, it's like, we're just bad. What?
Yeah. So
what are you talking about? Where does this come from? Where do your villains come from?
Nowhere. That's the other thing. Jesus. Is it goes nowhere. It doesn't play into anything later on. Cool, man.
It's just to introduce Wonder Woman and their events.
I think the action set piece is cool, but I just think it needed to be involved in the story somehow. Like maybe these people are like, these parademon things have shown up, and like we want to get on their good side, and we think the cube is linked here, and so we're gonna do that. But it's nothing like that at all. So this just happens, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna blow up like several blocks of London to make our manifesto be taken seriously, I guess, or something. And so she goes into where all the goons are holding the kids hostage, and she takes them all out except for the one, I guess, main goon. She takes the bomb, she fucking breaks through the roof, goes super high, and then throws it even further into the sky, and it like blows up. And then she goes back down where all the kids are, and there's that one main goon there, and he's still got his gun. And
he's like, man, they blew up my bomb. Fuck, I guess I'll just kill these kids.
So he pulls out his fucking machine gun, and he starts shooting it. And then we get the Wonder Woman doing her whole thing with the slow-mo. Yeah,
I hated that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have looked cool, but it didn't.
Also, isn't she bulletproof? I know there's that meme about why does Wonder Woman block the bullets when she's bulletproof like Superman and her boobs are just jiggling, but like that doesn't have to be legit. She could just be in front of the bullets. She doesn't have to block everyone with her wrists. That's ridiculous.
I think it's cool.
And fucking
it's neat when they do it right, but that looked disgusting.
Yeah. Zack hits you with the like, yes, I'm gonna put slow-mo in my scene because my name is Zack Snyder, but also I'm going to speed up Wonder Woman when it's not slow-mo, and it's going to look bad. So you're going to be going from slow-mo to sped up, back and forth.
Yeah.
And it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a cool idea, just not executed very well. But she, she eventually gets the best of that goon, and she, fucking does, that thing that makes her gauntlets, react with each other, and, vaporizes him, and, half of the, the front part of the building. She
does more damage to the building than the terrorist.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm like, that guy, you're not arresting him, he's dead.
Dude, not only is he dead,
his hat, floats down the police car.
They were trying to blow up 4 blocks, right? And she didn't do that much damage, but she destroyed half of that building, yo.
Yeah,
that was totally she's right there, one-on-one with this guy. She's Wonder Woman. This is an old white dude, right? Okay, so she could easily do whatever and just handle him right there without any destruction of property at all. What in the hell? And I totally get the Batman versus Superman shit. Man. Why are they doing that? Dude, I'd be on Batman's side in Batman versus Superman.
I think I just my erection burst through my pants when she did that. That was so cool, dog.
Dude, that's a lot of what this movie is.
Yeah,
because then we get the line where there's a little girl who she's like, "I'm gonna be you when I grow up," and then Wonder Woman is like, "You can be anything you want to be," and it's I think the idea of that is kind of sweet. I just don't think that it just is
I would have said you're back to the Dark Ages.
I'm gonna vaporize you then. Sorry. But from there we go to Themyscira, which is the home of the Amazons, and the Queen, who is Wonder Woman's mom, goes to investigate the cube that they have since it cracked. And everyone is real shook up about this thing. They got all their arrows pointed at it. I don't really know what that's going to do as far as helping.
They ain't got nothing else.
Yeah, they got their spears and they got their arrows, and that's it. So they're all shook up about that, and we see a portal open up, and your boy Steppenwolf shows up, and he's got all these spikes on him
Spiky
now.
boy.
Real Born to Be Wild.
Yeah, he looks.
Spiky boy.
I think he looks a lot cooler.
Spiky boy.
He the spiky.
When I didn't know his name, I called him Spiky Boy, and then when I knew his name, I was like, well, Spiky Boy sounds better than Steppenwolf.
So if you think that it's a weird name, like Steppenwolf, that's a band. You're right. That's literally what they named Steppenwolf
Oh,
after.
seriously?
Like that's the origin of his name. They're like, yeah, I like that band. His name's Steppenwolf. So anyway,
congrats.
He shows up. And he's got his parademons with him, and I think they look better in this version than the Joss Whedon version because they look more like robotic in this version than the other one where they look like kind of lava-y.
yeah.
And the other one, and it just kind of looks weird.
Well,
but,
I mean, I'll say like I like Steppenwolf's design. I'm gonna put that disclaimer out. I like his armor. It's really cool. It like ripples and reacts with the food, and it's spiky and stuff. It's intimidating. It's cool. I like it. But every other fucking like armor piece in this movie, on Parademons, on Cyborg, on Aquaman, on everything, is this like spiky, convoluted mess that you can't even make out the features. It looks good on Steppenwolf because you can kind of make it out, and it looks good. But I couldn't even see the like I could see their eyes.
Yeah, the
and
parademons move so fast.
And they move fast. And why are you doing this really complicated, like geometrical, angular patterns? It's like it looks like stealth technology that you see on like military stuff, to where you can see shape outlines. I'm like, why did you pick that kind of design? I don't like. You just didn't want us to see stuff. It bothered me.
Yeah. It's like a weird aesthetic choice.
Someone just liked to do that stuff, and they were like, let's put it on everyone. Every single character.
That for the entire movie, he might well have been in fucking black and white. Like, he drained the color out of... My God, dude. And there was no fucking color in this movie.
That's a difference of opinion. I think that I like... I think tonally I like it. At least more than the Whedon version, where it's like too... bright, but like artificially bright.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was
artificially bright. Just do.
I'm saying of the two. I'm saying of the two, I like this more.
No, it's just so in your face. There's like everything is gray. Everything. It should have been in black and white. For real.
Maybe then you would have liked it more.
Oh.
But so he shows up with his parademon dudes. And they're not doing too. They're not doing too hot because all they have is fucking bows and arrows.
But they say no. Dude, the coolest line in the fucking movie, because they're like, Steppenwolf shows up and all the Amazons are like, "Fuck," and the Queen's there and he's like, "I can smell your fear."
Oh.
And then she goes, "Amazon, show him your fear," and they're like, "We," and they just like scream like, "We have no fear," or something.
Yeah,
that was badass.
Yeah.
Show him your fear. I love that.
Dude, they have a bunch of bad bitches. Too bad Steppenwolf just like Death Machine.
That's how I know I'm not just hated. Like, I'm not just a hater. Like, because there's still these things that happen, and I'm like, that was fucking badass. That reminds me of the DC animated, DC good shit that I like, where they say some badass line, like fucking Superman will go like, "I've been living in a world of cardboard. Now I can show you what I can do," or something. It's like, oh, hell yeah. So they're getting still like make me hyped.
Yeah.
So that just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a nice glimpse.
We get it. You're not just a hater because you hate it.
Yeah.
It is bad in a lot of places.
From there, though, we've got like this big fight scene that happens in the chamber where they had kept the cube, and the Amazonians aren't doing too good. So the Queen is like, "Hey, I'm just gonna fucking seal Steppenwolf and his goons in there, and then sink it into the ocean." Despite the fact that he can teleport. But, let's just ignore that
and
entirely.
She's like going around probably didn't help all of her Amazonians like heal them and stuff during the battle instead of running to the exit and risking the cube.
Yeah.
And she's doing all this while she knows she's gonna plunge their asses straight into the fucking
and she's like, fuck them.
Yeah.
It's like a few people are gonna die, but it's for the greater good.
Don't know. Just fucking go to the door. Just leave. Fine.
So she does that. She they seal it and then break it off into the ocean. And there's like this kind of thing where they fake you out and you think that they're like, "Oh, okay, it's done," But then immediately, what do you know? Steppenwolf can teleport, which we already knew.
Like, jumps.
Oh,
yeah, they just all like flew back
Yeah,
up.
bottom of the ocean. That
Regardless,
boy does
the
not
point-
skip leg day.
Yeah. So he jumps out, and they're still chasing after the Amazonians who are on horseback now with the cube, and he's able to catch up because he fucking is fast as fuck.
Mm.
And
he's like picking horses up and
yeah,
throwing them.
Yeah,
badass.
Dude, yeah,
that's sweet.
So the fight continues, and eventually they think that they've gotten away from him, but he catches up to them and gets it, and then teleports away. Just as this like huge group of Amazonians show up with like all their arrows, bows and arrows pointed at him. And one thing I'd like to point out is they were shooting him with arrows throughout this, and his spikes, like he would like flex, and the spikes would like break the arrows off, which was pretty badass.
Yeah.
So yeah, he looked really good, and I thought for the most part, an action scene, Steppenwolf was really cool in this. At least the first half.
Yeah. But so from there, he's got 1 cube now, so he's only got 2 more to go. And that's the end of part 1.
I gotta say, so you can totally tell that Zack Snyder made 300, because everything in Themyscira is just 300.
Yeah.
One, there's a scene
the
we'll get to
chanting and the fire
later,
and the lighting and the lack of any color and the armor and this and that and the leadership and this, like it's so 300. Like I'll give Zack Snyder that. I can see why he was picked for that. But I want to ask why the fucking queen didn't. I'm not trying to nitpick, but she fucking could have gone to this whole army. Apparently, she was hiding, but instead opted to go for that open field.
I think that she was like she sent 2 people out initially and was like, "Call for the reinforcements."
Why doesn't she go?
I don't
know. Maybe she was a distraction, but it's kind of bad distraction if you have the thing that he needs and you need to defend it with your fucking life.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think we mentioned that this movie is R. Like,
oh yeah, it's rated R.
And Steppenwolf is slaying motherfuckers.
Oh
like,
yeah,
hitting them with this axe, blood splattering, and fucking. It's like, oh shit. Like, I was like,
well, there's a scene later with Era that we'll talk about. Because there's like a weird power she does. It's like, oh shit. Yeah. We'll get there though. But anyone have any thoughts on part 1 before we jump into part 2? Or are we good to
just on the Steppenwolf slaying people? I know this is in like part 2 or 3, but when he's in Atlantis and he murks people, and you just see a cloud of blood spurt from their bodies. It's like, oh damn, holy shit! Like he's like fucking those bitches up, man. It was good. It was good.
All right. Well, I guess we'll jump into part 2 then. So we got Steppenwolf. He sets up camp in Chernobyl inside of a nuclear chimney, which he likes because it's full of that good radiation. He's like, yeah, this is.
Does he actually say that?
He says something like that. He's like, there's some weird line he says that's basically that's the gist of it.
He's like, posted up in Chernobyl. He's like, yeah, this is the spot.
So he's in Chernobyl now with all his little carabiner boys. And then we go to
this is the closest spot on Earth to hell or something.
He maybe even said something like that. Like it's something weird. Is the point?
Wait. If you're switching scenes, I got comments about his setup scene.
Oh yeah.
So when he's talking to that guy that he contacted through whatever the fuck that thing is.
Yeah, that's a little later, but we can talk about that now.
No, he talks to him this time, and then he talks to him again later.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe talking about Desaad, who is like Darkseid's advisor.
See, they didn't even say that guy's name in these first 3 parts.
But yeah.
Well.
And
I don't know what he's called yet.
I was reading the description. It's like Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, blah, 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 has Batman, these guys, going up against Steppenwolf, Desaad, and Darkseid. And I was like, who the fuck is Desaad? And then I was like,
he's Steppenwolf's boss, apparently.
Yeah, he gets like formed out of like molten lead, pretty much. Like they put the mother box in this just like slab of
I
metal.
Thought the effect was cool.
No, it was cool.
For him. He looked
I'm just trying to if you don't know what it looked like, where like you put the mother box in, the mother box like fuses to the metal, melts through it, and then from this molten, it kind of changes the whole slab to this molten shape of Desaad, being like
it's kind of like a hologram thing, but made of metal, you know.
Cool.
Yeah,
but so when Steppenwolf is talking to Desaad,
yeah.
when he's talking to him, he doesn't say. I didn't know what Darkseid's name was either yet, but he doesn't say Darkseid's name. But he's basically like, "Daddy will be pleased with me now. I will be useful to my daddy again. Daddy will love me once more." That's basically like he totally just fucking becomes a super simp for Darkseid right there, and it's like he just like I get that he character develops later, but oh god,
I like that. That's how it should be.
Yeah,
like everybody needs to be a simp for. If Darkseid controls you, you're a simp.
Yeah,
dude, I don't know who Darkseid is yet.
Slaves people.
Well, they haven't even really shown how badass Darkseid is yet. So
if this is massive dude throwing horses around like fucking dandelions is like, oh shit, I need to simp hard as fuck for this man. I mean, that kind of builds him up.
I don't think they've earned that though for me yet. Like, I have no idea who this dude is, and he's like, "Well, I'm his bitch," and that's the story.
We
get like, ooh, who is this guy?
We definitely get more on Steppenwolf in this version than the Whedon version.
Yeah,
because in that version, he's just like a bad guy who is there, and he's like, "I want to conquer Earth because I want to conquer Earth."
Yeah, and you just have to kind of know comics to know that he's related to Darkseid. They don't really say anything.
Yeah, whereas I like in this, and we'll get into it later as far as like what his backstory in this universe is. We'll talk about that in a few scenes, but from there we go to Bruce and Alfred, who are talking about why Bruce wants to form the Justice League, and Alfred's kind of calling him out on the fact that it was partially inspired by Lex Luthor and his whole thing where he was like, when God comes, then every
the bell has been rung.
Yeah, he says that thing. But then he's like, no, it's not just that. It's also I made a promise to fucking Superman, and it's like, when did you do that? Like after he died? And it's like some people do stuff like that where it's like I want to honor their fucking memory or whatever, but I don't know. That just kind of
like he was homies with Superman for less than a day though before Superman died. I don't know. I think it was like less than a day. And they built Batman versus Superman was 3 hours long, and they spend like 2 hours and 15 minutes of it being like Batman versus Superman. They hate each other, or especially Batman hates Superman, and it's like fear, hatred. His people died. All of his people who worked in his company died, and it's like shit's going down. And then I know this is memed to death, but the Martha thing, dude, it is not a big enough connection for them to be like, oh, I love him, he's my brother, and I made him a promise on his grave, and now I'm going to build this Justice League and protect the Earth. It's like, what the fuck? Dude, if the previous movie is that weak, don't lean that heavily on it and try to build into this movie. Like, that just cripples this movie. Like, distance yourself from the garbage and take what you need, but distance yourself from the garbage, and that will make this movie so much better.
I'm gonna call
it took a lot away from it for me.
I'm gonna call it a Raimiism when a movie tells you the complete opposite of what you saw, and you're like, no, that's not right. The movie's telling you it's right. No, that's not how they would feel. But no, look, the movie says it is. So that's what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's accurate.
From there, though, a parademon blasts a hole through the ceiling of this lab that Silas Stone, who is Victor Stone's Cyborg's dad, he smashes through this ceiling of the lab that he works at, and it's looking around for the cube because I guess they can sense where it was, I guess. And since Silas is gone, the only person who's there is this fucking janitor who knows absolutely nothing. And so the parademon roughs up the janitor and then leaves, I guess. Even though they kidnap other people later on, but for some reason he leaves behind that janitor.
Okay, and I know this is a minor scene, but I really want to comment on it because it's like a theme for the movie that I'm noticing. So for this scene, I forget what Cyborg's dad's name is. I guess you said Silas.
Yeah.
Silas tells. Oh, well, maybe the janitor's name wasn't Cyrus then. I don't know. Silas tells the janitor that to tell his family hi from him, and Silas, or the janitor, just stone cold just goes back to mopping, doesn't acknowledge that at all, and that's
mopping,
weird.
Like
Grates.
he's mopping grates on the floor,
which doesn't make any sense.
I'm like, I don't understand that, but yeah, he gets kidnapped, and it's like, oh,
yeah. This is also like there's another Raimiism. I thought I was very clever because they had the lab coats that said Star Labs, and I was like, ooh, Star Labs, I know what that is because I watched some anime and stuff. I'm like, yeah, Star Labs is cool, and they're always up to no good. That's a neat Easter egg. But then it's like Gwen Stacy in the third one when they just kind of say her name, and you're like, oh. Yeah. I'm smart. I noticed that, and then it's a pivotal thing in the movie, and then you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I was.
But so okay, so he says to tell his family hi from him, and they don't even really acknowledge it. It's he only said the thing about the dude's family so that we would be like, okay, that's a person. Wow, he has a family. So when he gets like wrecked 2 seconds later by the parademon, it's like, oh, we'll feel for him a little.
Who's gonna feed the janitor baby?
Of how this guy, and they do that continuously. It's so surface level. Like, yeah, everyone has someone that cares about them. You don't have to tell us, oh, this guy has a family. I don't give a shit. You're fucking killing people all over the place. Okay, like that's so surface level. Oh my gosh. And they do that for so many things. They're like, oh, here's this kind of little baby thing. Now care about this.
Yeah,
and
I don't expect
one of the biggest.
Sorry, I don't expect comic book movies to ever like break ground on themes and emotions and characters and family and stuff like that. You know, I just don't. But I expect it to be a little, have just like a hint
some
of
depth,
a hint. Yeah,
a little development, just a little bit. Put some effort, you know.
Yeah.
From here, we go to the Queen of the Amazons. They have an arrow of Artemis, which is the only way they can warn anyone in the outside world, I guess, outside of their little bubble. So they it's like held in place already, like notched, and they take it, they shoot it over to the Temple of the Amazons in Greece, and it causes this fire, basically. And we flash over to Diana, who's in Paris working on a restoration of a statue, which I think is pretty cool. It's just like
the beacon is lit. Gondor calls for aid.
Basically,
it was like, have I seen this before?
Dude, you want to talk about Lord of the Ring vibes?
Oh, we'll get there.
yeah.
But and this scene has a little cute thing as well, where her like coworkers are trying to make small talk with her, and they're like, "Where do you go? Like on the weekends? Like you never hang out with any of us. Like what's the deal?"
Diana doesn't even mask her identity. She doesn't wear anything different.
Yeah.
Like her face is exactly the same. Yeah.
But no one's
she's just a person. But also, Clark Kent doesn't do anything other than glasses. So
yeah,
it's pretty weak.
When he acts like a goober too, and then he gets into a bathtub with his clothes on.
Yeah,
it's really awkward. But so she goes to the Temple of the Amazons, which I get that she's a superhero, so it's real fast for her to do stuff like that. She goes there, and she does this like sort of Indiana Jones type thing where she takes the arrow and like goes into this like lower part of the temple, and then finds an outline of the arrow in the wall, and then puts it in there, and it opens up this secret chamber where they have this I guess big
mosaic
of the original battle with Darkseid over the cubes. And
I will say that was pretty cool. Like I actually liked that scene and how they were showing it kind of like ancient picture mosaic style. Like this is how I'm getting my, because I did not remember anything from the first one, and I didn't have any of this like DC history knowledge. So it was really interesting to kind of have the story told like that. It's like, oh, it's ancient times, and I know that's like a well played theme, but I liked how they did that.
And for me, because I knew Darkseid was going to be in this, but I didn't know how big of a character he was going to be. Like, I figured he would just be like a post-credit thing. And so when they showed, that mosaic with him being the one who fought the battle for the cubes originally. Whereas like in the Whedon cut, it's Steppenwolf who did that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there is no dark side at all in it. So it was just kind of like, I was like, oh shit, like they're doing this.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, that's pretty dope.
Yeah,
But
Is that how you spell dark side?
Huh?
Is that how you spell dark side?
yes, yeah, it's
It's
yeah.
a comic book spelling.
Yeah.
I thought it was literally just dark side.
Right.
I was like, wow,
It's very
okay.
clever. It's like it's dark, like DARK, and then it's SEID.
Yeah.
Dark side. But like what I noticed is that so it's nationally broadcast news that they're like, holy shit, there's this fucking bonfire on an ancient architecture That's not good. And then Wonder Woman just kind of like, not even in, she's wearing her civilian clothes, walks up, takes the arrow, goes into this tomb. There's no one cares.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Like this was nationally, no, not even national. I meant globally. It is globally broadcast because she watched it in France and then goes to Greece, and then nobody cares. It's just like, okay.
Also, when she sees it on the TV, dude, why didn't they like zoom in and show the TV full screen? I could barely see what they were trying to show me there.
Fucking
like
excavators and shit would be on this like artifact. They'd be like, "Where did this arrow come from? What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got carving on it, like lettering and stuff." I wish Wonder Woman was just like, was Wonder Woman went up and was like, "Hey, I'm Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
this is important.
Yeah,
go away."
Because
she literally just walked up and like, she looked fine in that dress, but
like, it was easier to take that arrow than to fucking take a Mars bar from a CVS.
Yeah, because at a CVS they got those little things at the door that'll do that shit.
Yeah.
There wasn't any of that at that arrow, dog.
Like, hey, you need the receipt.
From there, though, we go back to the whatever place that Silas works at, and there's like these detectives who are investigating it, and they're like, they notice that the cube is missing from its box, and they're like, well, what's the deal with this, like, and Silas is like, it's been missing for a while, and they're like, well, like, shouldn't we look into that? And he's like, don't worry about that, look, Superman. And they're like, whoa! And they immediately drop that, and they don't question it again.
He drops a smoke pellet on the floor. And...
Yeah, but from there, they're like, okay, well, we have the janitor in quarantine over here, and he drew this like sketch of who the culprit is, and they show it to him, and for some reason, like, this is a thing that's alluded to later. Like, they show the picture, and it's implied that they think it's Batman. And we'll get there later because that's more of a, but like and part of this is because we view it as the audience and we know what Batman looks like, whereas they don't. But the other thing is, like, I don't know, no one else has probably ever described Batman as like an actual fucking demon that flies.
with fangs and
shit. Like a sketch a fucking 6-year-old made.
Yeah,
like, it looks like
was so
when
bad.
Trying to draw their parents.
Yeah,
it looks like that, and I'm like, who sketched
I think
that
the janitor,
the sketch artist. We pay him $100,000 a year.
That's like, have y'all seen the? It's like a meme thing from some like small town. They had like their criminal investigator person do a sketch of the I guess the culprit, and it's just, I'll send y'all a link later. It's just horrible.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a child's drawing.
Maybe
like the beady eyes and stuff. And it's like it's really fucking bad. But there is stuff, I guess, like that in small towns though. Like, you don't,
not Gotham.
Yeah, not whatever city they're in. Yeah. But from there, they ask Silas. They're like, any idea of who that might be? And then the scene ends. From there, we go to a fishing boat in the middle of a big storm, and we have Aquaman showing up just as a fisherman is like doing the little Titanic thing where he's on the top of the ship as it's about to hit the water, and he's like, and so Aquaman comes to save the day, and he fucking swims him back to the bar. Huh?
That pose though, when he jumped up on the ship, he was
it was sick. Yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, it was
but,
cool.
This is a fucking Snyder scene through.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Where it's completely useless. It didn't need to be in the movie.
It's like, how do we introduce Aquaman again? Oh, this is how we do it. Okay.
Yeah, but he goes to the bar basically, and he like throws him onto the table, and he takes a bottle of whiskey, and the bartender's like, hey man, like what the fuck? Who's gonna pay for that? And he's like, put it on that guy's tab. And then he just fucking leaves.
No, he gets the bottle.
He didn't even finish it.
No. I'm getting there. He goes out to the dock. He like chugs the entire bottle of whiskey, slams it on the dock. It's like, okay, so you're okay with littering in the ocean, but that's an entire.
I'll say he still hates Atlanteans, so I'd be like, yeah, fuck you. Here's some trash for you, garbage.
Fuck you, guys. Fuck you, Dad.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess that gets rid of my next point, because when he tore his shirt off, it's like he just throws that in the water too.
Yeah,
and
he
like,
takes his shirt off again. And
some turtles
in slow motion while that music is playing, like Ben said.
And the ocean is imitating my undergarments.
And the song is like the song is like, if you listen to the lyrics, it's like, I'm a king, and like it's some weird thing where it's not it's too on the nose. But
every time a song with lyrics plays in this movie, it's the cringiest, grossest. Like, I'm singing what's happening on the screen because it's so impactful and sad and moving. And these are my words.
Or we're a powerful action, and we're the baddest, and everyone's hyped. Awesome! Yippee team!
Fucking
like one of those sad or awesome action.
Yeah. Stop. But he jumps into the water and he meets up. He goes to these little Atlantean ruins and he meets up with Volko, who's played by Willem Dafoe.
My boy.
Yeah, your boy, Willem Dafoe, and he's talking to him. This was a scene that was not in the Joss Whedon version because it has the whole thing where they have the air bubble that they need to talk to each other. And so they're talking about it. This is where, like, for some reason, his mother's trident is held. And I don't really know what the significance of it is, but
she was the queen of Atlantis.
I know that, but like I don't know why her trident is there, like with some other person's corpse.
No, it was the Volko brought it, and he throws it down at Aquaman's feet, and he's like, "Use it."
Yeah,
he whose body was it?
That was
a
clothing. That was a stone carving.
Yeah.
The true trident that he gets, like Aquaman gets in the Aquaman movie, you know, like the gold one with the 3 prongs.
Yeah.
And he gets the Aquaman armor. That's that spear, and that was like his.
Well, no, because that's underwater and they're like weird. You remember the swarm?
No, I know it's a carving of that spear.
Oh, okay. I see what. I get what you're saying. All right, I understand what you're saying.
I was gonna say because this one had like 5 prongs or something, but now I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So they're talking about like he's like, hey, maybe you should be king of Atlantis. That could be pretty neat. And it's a really weird scene since we already have the Aquaman movie. Like I'm glad it's here because I like seeing Willem Dafoe and Jason Momoa interact. Like
I just don't get the whole like your brother is a cruel king. We don't really like him. You are a drunken asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we want you.
He doesn't know anything about like being Atlantean.
You know you're a good boy.
They fixed the characterization and and granted, you know, part of that is because you know the character goes through that journey of being like, okay, I do need to be a hero for all of humanity, even though I don't really like them all that much. You know, and then he comes into that in the Aquaman movie, but that's basically the gist of that. He's like, hey, you should be king, and he's like, no, and then he swims off.
They name drop King Own, and I'm
King
like,
Orm,
Orm, that's what it is. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, and he's like, he's going to declare war on the surface. It's like, that's the line from the Aquaman trailer. Yeah. But he's like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. So they go their separate ways. We go back to Chernobyl, and this is where Steppenwolf talks with Desaad for the first time. And he's like,
because he did talk to him in the the earlier bit when he puts the cube in. Yeah,
I think
he only says the thing where he's like, "Daddy will love me."
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I think maybe you're right.
He doesn't do the whole exposition thing like.
Then he says the thing here where he's like, I think Earth is going to be real easy to conquer because they're not they're not united. So
unionized.
That too, but
also I easily picked up and threw their animal of burden. So.
Yeah. And so Steppenwolf, he wants an audience with Darkseid so he can appeal to him and get back into his good graces. But it turns out that at some point Steppenwolf like betrayed Darkseid and tried to do a coup against him. And basically he got his ass handed to him by Darkseid. And so now he owes Darkseid 50,000 worlds.
And he's only done like what, 10?
Something like that. And so he's like, come on, man. Like I've been doing this for so long. Can I at least talk to him about this? And he's like, nah, bitch.
Leave a message, cunt.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
So Ben and I last week we were watching the old Dune movie, and that movie has a lot of problems with just feeding you exposition, just like over and over again, telling rather than showing, and that's kind of what this made me think of. Like it wasn't super egregious, but this scene wasn't great. It was more like, oh, this is. Here, we need to tell the backstory at some point, so this is kind of how we're doing it. And it's just like a convo between these guys. And I get they didn't take the time to do it, but still.
It was just a more straightforward conversation. It's like, you have conquered this many worlds. Looks like you need this many more. Darkseid doesn't like you because you did this. I like that it was more of like an argument. Like, can I come back? It's like, you are a betrayer.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, but I didn't mean to betray. Like, I mean, you're right. It's kind of a dumb exposition, but it wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
I like that it's here.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, it's like, he's bad.
Right.
That's it. You know, yeah, so it's...
I'm just saying it could have been done better, I think. But it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, from here... Oh, yeah. Did you want to say something, or...
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm saying anyways, let's continue, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, so from there, we go to Diana. She breaks into a Wayne laboratory, and there's a weird kind of thing here where in the Whedon version, they basically make it, oh, that was the Bat Cave that she broke into, but in this, it's established that it's not.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, and it's like they don't do a very good job of like differentiating it, and that's why it was sort of confusing. But
probably because there's no fucking color in this movie.
He has some compound. It's like a building compound that he has.
Yeah, it's a separate compound with security and stuff. She breaks in there, and she's talking to Bruce. She's like, "Hey, the parademons are here. We need to fucking get this Justice League thing going." And at this point, we get our big, basically, what if we do like a Lord of the Rings War for the Ring thing,
dude,
in a DC movie, and we see a flashback as she narrates. It is cool.
It was badass. That was the best part of the movie.
But so she's
I would have liked to see the movie about that time.
Yeah. From there, she's telling the whole story. She's like, men, the old gods, Atlanteans, the Amazonians, and guardians from the stars, which are Green Lanterns, which I think is fucking awesome.
Sweet.
Like, it's really cool.
They looked
they were cool. When there's a whole like they're fighting and like it tries to go towards Darkseid and like it gets swatted away or something, and it's like
for bad armor designs and costumes that I wasn't a fan of, I thought the Green Lanterns looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Are there more than one? I only noticed that like one guy that they had.
They were the same kind of like.
Yeah. He did look sick though, and I like that he wasn't anywhere near like human. He was humanoid in figure, but he like skin. Well, I don't know if it even was skin. I don't know. He was very alien. He looked pretty badass.
Yeah. So they're all fighting Darkseid together, and you have fucking Zeus and Ares. Like, Zeus is throwing lightning bolts at him. It's fucking badass. And he's, like, huge compared to, like, the other humans, I guess. They're able to drive Darkseid back, and they fucking whoop him.
Dude.
Like, he is doing real bad.
And that's what I'm
like, it's sort of weird.
If you're trying to build up a villain, don't fucking whoop his ass. Like, they straight up Thanos, like Thor, hit him with the axe in his shoulder.
Dude, yes.
And then, like, Ares, you should have gone for the head. And then...
Oh, my God, yes. God damn it.
Right. Like, I don't know. It was just so, like, oh, I guess Darkseid's kind of a bitch. Like, for being the ultimate power. He should be more badass than, like, Thanos. Like, he should be fucking crazy. And then he's just like, ouch! And then gets taken away on his ship.
I mean, he's literally the big bad of DC, right? Like,
dude, the
biggest bad.
Yes, he is Thanos. Like, Thanos, honestly, they made Thanos more like Darkseid. in the Marvel movies, because in the comics he's got his Thanos copter and he's goofy, but Darkseid like the ruler of galactic hell and has a demon army, and Superman gets his ass handed to him constantly, and it's like, yeah, dude, he should be fucking insane. So it's just kind of like, oh, he got stabbed.
Yeah,
poor guy.
So
Ares doesn't look like Ares, man.
Yeah, it's
Why?
weird. Yeah, well, and like there were people who were speculating like the Ares that we see in Wonder Woman was like a possessed person who existed before.
If it's not in the movie, shut up.
I know, yeah, but it's you know, it's
I'm saying that like the
said
Ares in this Zack Snyder movie does not look like the Ares that was in the Wonder Woman movie at all. No armor similarities. No.
I forget what the Wonder Woman one looked like.
He looked bad.
It was the guy who played Lupin in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the werewolf guy.
And I don't want to hear that he can change forms, because in a flashback in Wonder Woman, he gets cast out of Olympus and he takes his helmet off, and he's got his goofy little mustache, and he's like, me!
Yeah, so, shit, you're right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah. He looks like a freaking demon in that one.
So that made me upset.
Right, yeah.
I was like, you can't even canonically relate to the past movie?
Was that before or after this one? I don't remember.
That was before in both timeline and creation. I'm pretty sure.
But from there, though, we go to, basically they get them off, and he doesn't bring the cubes with him because he's leaving so fast. So they basically take one cube for each, I guess, race of Earth's, peoples, I guess, where it's like the Amazonians have one, and they build like that big old thing around it. The Atlanteans have one, and they're underwater protecting it. Fucking men
put it in a hole.
They're like, yeah, bury a hole, maybe like 2 feet deep, and then just put it there.
Diggy hole.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, it's probably gonna be fine. And they just leave.
Put some metal around it, I guess. Fuck.
I have a question though.
Yeah.
They knew these. I get splitting up the boxes, right? Separating them, because when they're together, they destroy the planet and whatnot, right? But why don't some of these like gods or powerful people or Green Lanterns or something have access to like interplanetary travel at all? Like, why are these things still on Earth after all
this?
Green
Lanterns do. So that is a good point. I don't know why they were like, hey, you have an entire
like what keep them on the planet. Yeah.
Here's what I think. Well,
no,
y'all haven't seen the other parts, so it's not a big spoiler. But they talk about Darkseid's battle on Earth in the past, and he's forgotten what world that was. He's like, where? He was like, it was a primitive world. I don't even know.
Oh,
so like, so I don't think
it's the only one that defeated him. What?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't worry about it. But
they make a whole stink of that when they first tell the story. That's some bullshit.
But if he doesn't even know, I would assume the Green Lanterns don't know. So nobody knows where these mother boxes are.
All right, yeah. Okay.
And I imagine Steppenwolf's just like, I hear them calling because Superman died. Oh, they're all on this planet. Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
That makes more sense. Yeah. I mean,
no.
That doesn't fix.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that doesn't make it like good, but that at least makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was that one Green Lantern. Did he die in that fight or something? Because there was at least the one there.
He gets killed, and then his ring like tries to fly towards Darkseid, and then gets like shot away or something like that. Because Darkseid like is trying to grab it, and then
he's like, "This is in that Lord of the Rings battle." Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's brutal. Like Darkseid fucking like cuts his hand off with the ring on it,
and
then just fucking like fucking
dude.
Swacks him. I wanted more of that. Like I did want. Like, here's the difference. So Sauron in Lord of the Rings, in that opening battle, sweeping people aside with his mace, and it's booming when he comes onto the field, and everyone's pissing their pants, and he beats them. He beats them.
Yeah.
And then Isildur is just like, ha, 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 and it like accidentally cuts his finger off, and he's like,
yeah.
This one, they just whoop Darkseid's ass.
Yeah.
Darkseid kills the Green Lantern, which is really cool, kills some people, but then he brings, like, these sorcerers bring the mother boxes down, and humans and elves and dwarves all team up and beat Darkseid.
They shouldn't have just kicked his ass. They should have made it to where it was like a pain in the ass for him to do.
Retreated. They have the same technology that they have in the rest of this movie.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it doesn't change.
Massively advanced alien tech, and this like primitive army with spears and Zeus is like, yep, we just fucking wiped the floor with him.
Well, dude, there's no Zeus now, so.
Yeah.
But they should have made it like a pain in the ass or too inconvenient for Darkseid to conquer Earth at that time, rather than beating his ass down.
A fluke victory. Oh no, the mother boxes were about to merge when somebody, I don't know.
Or have it be that Zeus dies in the battle, and that's because there's this whole thing where they're like, they mentioned that in Wonder Woman as well, where they're like, oh, all the gods are gone, and it's like, but this Ares guy could be here.
Like, it took all the combined might of all the gods to just like turn the mother boxes off, like not even do anything.
Yeah.
And then Darkseid's like, I'll come back for these or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He'll tell me when they're ready to blow you guys up, and then he leaves or something.
And then just forgets about it. So they do that whole thing where it's like each race got one of the cubes, and after that big old exposition dump, Bruce and Diana resolve that they need to form the Justice League to basically prevent this whole thing from happening again, and Darkseid returning and terraforming the planet and changing everyone into parademons. But that's the end of part 2. Does anyone have any, added thoughts before we jump into part 3?
I got one thing, and I was realizing it as it changed from 2 to 3. I was like, yeah, I'm very glad they did this in episodes, and not just because of the length. I like how they're doing it for the story. Like I know this movie has many flaws, but that is one of the big benefits to it, I think.
Yeah. All right, so from there, we jump into part 3, and we're introduced to Barry Allen, who is late for an interview at a pet sitting store, I guess. And he's really quirky. He's played by Ezra Miller. Like, he's kind of sickeningly like quirky. And it's always like, he'll do stuff, and I'm like, it's kind of funny, but then he it goes too far. Like, it's like the in the extended cut of Spider-Man 2, where he has that scene where he's in the janitor's closet, and stuff is falling on him,
the elevator,
and it's like scenes go on too long with him, and he's like quirky for the sake of being quirky.
He's got ADD or some shit. Yeah. Like and when he's conversing with that lady, he's literally all over the place, and he can't even remember where he is in his thought. Like, people dude's got ADD for sure.
I've been in the real world for my entire life, and people aren't really like that.
When it's like
if they are, then no one wants to fucking talk to them ever.
Well, that kind of is how he is. Like, we'll get there later, but I don't know, just like
he says he has no friends, dude. Come on.
It's annoying. Exactly. Why are you putting the no friendless annoying guy? Why is he a major role in the movie? Why'd you make that his personality?
Powers,
no, that's not endearing. I don't like it.
I don't dislike it.
Yeah, well, it's I think that's part of the point, but I just don't think it's a good point. Yeah. But he's acting all weird. He's late to the interview. Like, a lady exits the pet sitting shop, and it's someone who's in the, I guess, Flash story. Like, who's his love interest? It's a character that's established. That's all I know. I don't know her name, but they're he's botching the interview because he crumpled up his fucking resume, and he's like going through it. He's like, this and this,
and he's being himself and
he's acting really weird. And so he's checking out this lady who's getting into the car, and she's checking him out, which he's not that good looking, so I don't really understand what the attraction is.
And she's driving, and he's inside of a store. How often do y'all do that when you're driving down a street and you look in a store and you pay that much attention to what's inside the store while you're driving, bro? Nah, come on.
Snyderland all the time.
When it's slow-mo all the time in Zack Snyderland, you can do whatever the fuck you want all the time.
The whole world goes slow-mo and you a very dramatic song in the background.
Yeah, and then so the she basically is distracted, and this fucking semi-truck driver who's
fat burger.
It's just big fucking double Big Mac that he's talking. He's like, and he drops it, and he goes to pick it up, and he fucking runs through a red light, and he's about to fucking wreck this lady's car. And at this point, Barry Allen is like, "Oh shit, I can use my powers to stop this." And I really like this part. He like puts his finger through the glass.
Well, even
because
before
like he's
that,
moving
he, like,
so fast.
Shoes out of his shoes.
Yeah, that was badass.
That was cool. I loved it.
He twisted so fast that it blew up his shoes.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I did like I like the effects of this movie.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah, this part does. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
well, yeah.
he pokes through the glass, and he's moving so fast that it like I guess reverberates it. So he just pokes through, and then it breaks.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he like grabs a hot dog first.
No, so okay, so he breaks the glass, he runs it, and it's playing this horrible, awful,
Yeah.
fucking
Oh my
awful
God,
love
yes.
song.
Yeah.
And
What?
and it's like exactly the kind I was describing earlier. So he runs out, and she's like flying through the air from her car, and a hot
The
dog.
truck had hit a hot dog cart.
Right. And Ezra Miller looks at her, looks at a hot dog, grabs the hot dog, and
Puts it in his pocket.
gonna put it in her mouth. What is he doing? I was thinking too. Put it up. What the fuck are you gonna do with the hot dog? So he grabs the hot dog, puts it in his pocket for safekeeping.
As you do.
And also, as hilarious as that sounds, it's way funnier because the dramatic love song is still playing.
Yeah.
While
yeah.
he's touching a little hot dog and putting it in his pocket. It's like, I'll never stop the love we feel.
Yeah.
And fucking then he grabs her and moves around.
Yeah, and he it does the thing where it's like it goes back into normal speed, and they lovingly look into each other's eyes, and then he fucking runs off.
Yeah, and she's not even like, the fuck?
Yeah. He's just like, I'm thirsty for you. Have me right here. And
I
he's
knew
like,
you were
no.
special when I saw you in that dog-sitting window. I knew you could save me from a freak accident in the blink of an eye. How dreamy.
From there, though, he like zooms back into the interview, and he's sitting with the dogs in the dog pen, and this turns out is what he needed the hot dog for. He's like, you always got to be prepared to see.
And she's like, hey, are these
I got this nice meat
my
snack.
blown out window, and what the fuck just happened outside with an 18-wheeler? Is she okay? None of that, no. She's like, oh, you brought a dog for the dogs.
But like, we don't know if he gets the job because the scene ends. Is she like, get out?
She looks like, she looks
She,
mildly
like
annoyed.
you don't know what's gonna happen
After an
It's
act of
weird.
God just vaporized a man in front of her and saved a woman from a giant car crash right outside.
Well,
her.
she didn't see that. She just saw that he moved.
Oh,
Her
she
window
Yeah,
shattered.
she's like looking at
No.
it. Yeah.
It is established that when Flash goes fast, there's lightning bolts like shooting out
Yeah.
of him.
Dude, I hate that. I don't like that. It makes it so obvious.
So let's just go from the shop owner's perspective, all right? So here's this nerd talking to me. Fuck this guy. Car's going, smashes into that car. In the same blink of an eye, when that car smashes into the other car, there's a lightning storm and blown up shoes in my shop. And then this guy's sitting with the dogs with a hot dog. How do you get over there?
Where do you get the hot dog?
What happened? What happened? I would be like, what? My reality has just shattered before my eyes. But no, she's just like, this guy. Like,
Yeah, sure, you start Monday. Yeah, sure.
oh,
All right, but that's the introduction
I
to
think that was
Barry
the
Allen.
worst scene in the movie, honestly. Like, it cool effects.
Hey,
Yeah.
shut up.
Fucking horrible.
Shut up. I kind of liked it.
Oh,
It was really dumb.
It's
oh,
held back by
yeah.
Ezra Miller
it was
being
entertaining.
kind of weird.
Yeah.
From
The
here though,
messiest scene in the movie.
yeah,
That fair.
we go to Steppenwolf interrogating some Atlanteans, and he's got this weird spider robot thing. Because at first the Atlantean's like, "I'll never talk," wah! And then he brings out the spider robot, and immediately it like attaches itself to this Atlantean's
But first
face.
he has to fucking break his back, throws that dude's
Oh my god.
Yeah,
blood
yeah.
splatters everywhere. I'm like,
Dude,
oh
I
shit.
like audibly gasped.
Yeah.
Because I imagined like there was a pointy part on that rock. This dude's head and spine just smashed into that so fast, and there's blood everywhere. How was that guy not just instantly dead?
Yeah, he's just like, ouchies.
Well, I think the idea is that Atlanteans are stronger. I think Atlanteans are stronger than normal humans.
Sure, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That would have paralyzed an elephant.
So they like put the spider thing on the Atlantean, and it summons a hologram of where they're keeping the cube. And so now Steppenwolf knows where it is, and he's gonna go there. So we go back to Lois Lane, and she's still looking real sad. She's going through Clark Kent's like chest of stuff, and she sees his Superman cape, and we get a brief piano rendition of the Man of Steel theme. And I gotta say, it's like, I know it's like really hammy, but that shit gave me chills. I was like, I love it, and
Hans
it's like
Zimmer is a
every
magician.
time. Like I wish
get
they,
those goosebumps every
yeah.
time.
I wish
Dude,
they,
honestly, the scene ruined it for me. I didn't even feel that. The scene ruined it too much. It's like, hey, did y'all remember Superman dead? He's still dead though.
Look how sad they are.
Lois big sad.
They're sad.
Big
I
sad.
think that the
Big
music,
sad.
music helps. I think the music helps. I'll say that much.
No, the music was the only thing that made me feel something.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that's
right. And that's the only music I can remember from this movie is the Wonder Woman theme and the Superman theme. And guess what? Surprise! It's both Hans Zimmer. So
yeah. It's weird because like, I don't know. I used to be like, oh, like I know the themes of like the DC ones so well compared to like Iron Man has like.
No, you know Hans Zimmer's music.
Yeah, and it's really, I know Hans Zimmer's music. Yeah, but from there we go to some, I guess it's like another scene with Diana and Bruce, and they're talking about who they've gotten so far, and Bruce is like, oh, Aquaman's with us, and he's definitely lying because he's trying to impress her, I guess. And they decide that they're going to split up.
She calls him on it, too.
Oh, yeah, and she does call him on it. Like, I like their dynamic in this version more, because in the original one, it's more of like a will they, won't they, like romance thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this one, they pretty much chop that subplot out entirely, and I think this movie is better for it.
And again, when the characters aren't trying to be their superhero versions of themselves, I feel like they kind of shine a lot more. In scenes like this.
Yeah, I like it. I did enjoy the scene. They decide that they're going to split up, and Bruce is going to convince Barry Allen to join, and Diana is going to try and convince Victor Stone. We flash over to Victor Stone, Cyborg, and we get this flashback of when he was a football player.
In slow motion. Dramatic music.
Yes, with dramatic music. And he's doing this whole thing. He's at Gotham University. He's the star football player. He's a tech whiz. He hacked into the school's database and changed his friend's grades so that she wouldn't fail. Because and at first they're like, "Why'd you do that?" And he's like, "I did it because she's going through this really rough thing with her family right now."
Well, his mom stepped up and she's like, "Oh, he was helping her because you wouldn't," to the school board, and they're like,
"Yeah."
And it's like, he's an angel. Oh, okay. All right, then.
Yeah, so we're showing all this stuff, and then after the football game, he noticed that his dad wasn't there, and he's talking to his mom about it in the car, and he's like, hey, he's being kind of a shitty dad, and she's like, well, he still cares. He just, has a lot of work he's got to do, and it's like,
and then bam!
And bam, they get fucking pancaked by a car, and we go to... So it's messed up. Yeah, it's and I knew it was gonna happen, but it still is oh shit.
Yeah, and we're doing. So this is the Cyborg origin story, obviously. How far are we in this movie? An hour at this point? More?
At least.
Yeah.
So we're establishing the plot and the villain and the stakes, and then we're dipping into an origin story. And same thing with the Flash. You're introducing the Flash and introducing Cyborg in this origin story. I'm like, what? Just it messes with the fucking pacing every time, and they go back.
Totally.
Every scene, I could totally tell that this was not an unedited 4-hour thing because the scenes did not mesh together at all. One scene had one mood, and then it would go straight to another scene with a different one. Right after Ezra Miller's scene with the hot dog lady. What does it go to? It goes to Steppenwolf with the spider breaking people's backs. Yeah. And then it goes to Lois Lane being sad, and then it goes to Diana, and then it goes to Cyborg, and it's there's no mood that's carrying through the scenes. It's just kind of feel this way, feel this way, feel this way, feel this way.
Yeah.
And
yes. Mm-hmm.
it does not does not sync together. The scenes do not throughout the whole movie, really.
Yeah. From there, though, there's this whole thing with the car accident, and they're both brought to the hospital, and Silas shows up then, and they've lost the mother, and they're like, "You're probably gonna lose your son too," and he's like, "I ain't gonna fucking let that happen." And they don't really we don't get what happens till part 2 of this review, so we're not gonna we're not gonna get there yet, but he basically created Cyborg, but we don't know how yet. So from there we flash forward to the present, and Silas is like trying to talk to his son and just be like, "Hey, you've got a gift, you need to use it for good," basically.
No, but okay,
use it.
But and so he's like, "Hey, I know you won't listen to me, or like you won't talk to me, but I want you to at least listen to me." And he leaves the fucking Sony Walkman there. He presses play on it. And this is the scene where we kind of talked about it a little earlier, where there's like this weird CGI thing of him being like, you could control the banks and the nukes.
I need to talk about this.
All right, go for it, yeah.
This made me pause the movie in shock and go back and write down what the fuck he said. I wrote down
the exact,
because it's the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard.
Yeah,
he goes like, "Oh, okay, you're a moody teenager in high school.
In college. No, he's
in college. He's in college. Okay,
yeah,
who just went through fucking emotional trauma, lost a parent. I barely know you because I'm at my job so much." This is what he fucking says on his stupid ass. Listen to this. He says,
get another soda.
"In a world of ones and zeros, you are the absolute master. No firewall can stop you. No encryption can defy you. We are all at your mercy, Vic. From our power grids to our telecommunications, everyone's lives are controlled and dominated by complex digital networks that will bend without effort to your will. The fate of the world will literally rest in your hands. Its entire nuclear arsenal you could launch with a thought. The world's monetary system and complex interactions will be as easy to manipulate for you as a child's plaything." What? What? Your son was in a car accident and you make him God?
Yeah, he's depressing.
You made him God. He can kill us all.
I like that he's useful, but that's a little too much. It's a little like
it's. Look. This either goes two ways, and both don't make sense. Either fucking Silas programmed his son to be God, which is fucked up. Why? Why did you do that to your struggling son who kind of doesn't even want to be alive? Second of all, if he didn't plan that, which, maybe little spoilers here, but maybe it got away from him and Cyborg got a little too much power and he didn't know what would happen. How the fuck does he know that he could just control fucking that he's God, that he could launch all the nukes and the money? Like,
money.
Okay, but like, I can't even handle that right now. Could you imagine that level of responsibility? And he tries to hit him with the Spider-Man afterwards.
Yeah, no, and okay, like first he does the thing where like he sees this lady on the street and he's like kind of cyber stalking her, and he like, oh, she's getting kicked out of her apartment and she can't make ends meet, and he fucking commits like wire fraud, sends her all this money. Dude. It's like that money came from somewhere.
No.
Whose money did you take?
I don't really care about that. This is what I'm thinking about. So you're telling me you could just launch all nuclear weapons into space, just shoot them all into space, blow them up, be like, cool, no more nukes. You're telling me you don't need that money to fund whatever fucking humanitarian things you want?
Money coming
take all of Lex Luthor's money. Fuck that guy. Hey, I don't know. Fucking what? You could fix. You're God. You're God. And now you're like, I'm gonna hack into little things and help out the Justice League. No, motherfucker, you are God. They made him Dr. Manhattan. They fucking did.
Yeah.
And then they act like he's still gonna retain his humanity, being God.
No,
this is like hero level shit. He's beyond these parasites they call man. He transcended.
Well, but here though, you go, Ross.
I was just gonna say when he did like just give that lady money. Did it come from somewhere? Did he steal that from someone to give it to her? Because that's bad. And if he didn't, and he just like created this digitally, like, oh, here's $100,000 for you digitally, then have you heard of inflation, Cyborg? They said you're a pretty smart cookie, so like either way, that's a bad decision.
It's all cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's all imaginary anyway. So it's not like he took paper.
The whole movie's imaginary. It's all fucking stupid.
That's with crypto codes. In the world of ones and zeros, he gave that lady $100,000.
Well, he's God, so I guess he can make whatever happen that he wants.
I will say, I really, really liked the it was a little subtle. Where like he gave that woman money, changed her life. She's so happy, and if she knew it was him, she probably would have been like, "Thank you so much, I love you." And as he's walking away from doing that, some people see him as Cyborg and they recoil and they're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
and that's cool. I liked that imagery. I liked you help these people, but you'll be despised by them. Kind of like Superman, where it's like they'll fear you at first, but together you'll bring them to the light. If Victor kind of had that, since he's kind of God now, but his dad's just like, be good. Don't do anything naughty with all these powers.
So basically, the like thing is getting to the end on the tape recorder, and he's like, as your father, and at this point, Victor like crushes the tape recorder because he's like,
he's the motherfucker that controls the world's nuclear arsenal,
and he's got daddy issues.
Yeah,
his dad makes the separation of. So far, I've been talking to you as a scientist, so now I'm going to talk to you as your daddy. And then he's like, well, I don't want to hear that shit.
I would have loved to see some shit like they're in the Batcave talking about how to fight Steppenwolf, and he's like, hey, guys, I control all the nukes. Wait, Cyborg, don't. And then he shoots all of the nukes at Steppenwolf.
It's like, it was Chernobyl.
Yeah, like a dumb 20-year-old. Who's God?
Don't jump ahead, Ben.
Anyway, sorry.
That's next week. I ain't even seen that yet. Come on. I ain't seen him nuke the whole world.
You created a nuclear winter, Cyborg. What's wrong with you? I'm sorry. I have too much power.
My dad's fault.
My dad just wanted me not to die in a car crash. I'm not ready for this.
Jesus.
From there, we got Victor. He sees someone get snatched up by parademons, and he does nothing about it, which is kind of weird. Maybe they'll get to that later, but Barry Allen, we cut over to him, and he's visiting his father in prison, and they're talking about Barry's future, and his dad really wants to make it clear that he did not murder Barry's mother.
I did.
He's like, I didn't do it. It's like they falsely accused. That's
well, even Barry is like, I know you didn't kill Mom.
And it's like, why are you believing this? Like, I don't know enough about the backstory to know if that's like the truth.
I'm sure it is.
Okay.
I'm sure. No, because what happened is it's convoluted. So the Flashpoint paradox happens because Reverse Flash fucking hates Barry so goddamn much that he goes back in time to kill Barry's mom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and Barry's mom gets murdered, and that sends him on and he's a kid when it happens, so it sends him on a direct path to be the Flash. And so when he learns that Professor Zoom killed his mom, he's like, you dick! And then goes back in time to stop him, and it makes the whole paradox and the world's worse. Okay. So Barry's mom needs to die, blah, blah, blah. So Zoom killed Barry's mom, and his dad got convicted.
See, that's so interesting. I wish there were movies on his... Oh, God, that's so cool, and I don't know it.
Watch the animated one. It's awesome. Everyone's traps are ungodly, though. So be prepared for that. They're like traps. They're fucking muscles.
Oh,
fucking insane. Bigger than their heads. But anyway.
Nice.
So yeah, he's saying, hey, you shouldn't do that criminal justice thing. You should do whatever you want to do, because the whole reason Barry wants to do that is because he feels like he owes it to his father to, basically make it so that doesn't happen to anyone else. But his dad, they end their, I guess, visitation time, and the cops like fucking drag him away. He's like, choose your own path.
Dude, those cops are dicks.
Yeah.
They're just like, he's talking to his dad, not being violent or anything. They're just like, time's up, move! And grab him out of the chair and like rip him out. I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah. So from there, we go to Barry heading to his hideout, which is in an abandoned warehouse, kind of by some train tracks. And he like turns the lights on. And who's sitting in the warehouse but Bruce fucking Wayne?
You know what I don't like? Nobody knows who Bruce Wayne is. It's like if Elon Musk was in your room, you'd be like, fucking
Why are you here?
Jeff Bezos, what are you doing in my house? You know who these people
crime?
are. You, not even like
not even. You just be like,
part, well, Bill Gates. What? You know what all these people look like? Why does nobody know Bruce Wayne? Like Aquaman.
That's a good point.
Who are you? Really?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So
Really?
it's Bruce hiding out in there, and he's like, I know you're the Flash, dude. Like, come on, just fucking like look at this suit. It's made of this material that can go at this speed, and they use it on the space. Yeah, and he's like, oh no, it's my pajamas or whatever. He has some stupid shit. And so
no, ice skating or some shit.
Yeah, it's ice skating. Yeah, that's
and
what
he was like, I'm very competitive.
And so they're doing a back and forth, and Barry is like not budging on it. So Bruce throws a batarang at him, and he fucking slow-mo like sees it and catches it, and he's like, "Oh shit, he's Batman!" And he at that point, it's like kind of a thing where it's like he trusts him now because he's like, "Hey, you told me the truth, so I'll tell you the truth." And
I like that he's like, "We're building a team. I'm in."
Yeah, like, he's immediately like he doesn't have to explain anything, and he's like, why is it like why? And he's like, I need friends. Yeah, and that's just. And so then from there they head into Bruce's car, and Barry has like a
badass.
And he says this whole weird thing where he's like, I have a really good metabolism.
I'm a black hole for snacks.
I
have a snack hole.
And so then he asks Bruce, he's like, hey, what are your powers like again? And Bruce's response is, I'm rich. And then get in the car.
Yeah, they literally smacked us with the meme, dude. They're like, oh, he's rich. He's just a dude, though.
I want, this is just me being a nerd and liking the animated series, but I wanted Bruce Wayne to not be, like, snarky. Like, I wanted him to be like, I'm rich. And, like, not even look at him when he says it and just get in his car.
Nah, he's got, like, a
But in this one, he does
smirk.
Ben Affleck does his little smirk, and he's like, I'm rich. It's like, he does that with all every little, like, word he says.
Yeah.
That's what's funny about Batman is he's so stoic, but he'll say some shit, and you're like, that's funny. But
you're right.
Ben Affleck, he looks good, but Ben Affleck does this like cutesy like wink at the camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right.
One, it's like that felt like something that I would have thought they added for the Whedon version. So it's weird that they that this is in this version. But from there we go to it's Alfred and Diana. They have like a little scene together, and Alfred is making these gauntlets for Bruce. And they basically have the power to reflect energy. And Diana has a cute little line where she's like, no, that sounds a little familiar, But so he's making that, and
that's the part of Alfred that I like the most in these movies is that he workshops in the Batcave and does Batman stuff too.
Yeah.
Like I like.
There's a whole thing where he's making this tea, and it's like really weird because it's like with the entire leaf, and he's like,
right.
Like, what the fuck
while he's
doing?
Working on Batman's gauntlets, he's like, "Don't scald the tea. Stop. You're not doing it right."
Yeah.
He's like, "Do you want some?" He's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm not even gonna drink it." He's just like, "Just don't fuck it up for yourself, please. It's tea. It's important."
It's like Rain Man touching his baseball cards. He's like,
So she's like drinking tea and she's researching Victor Stone, but since Victor Stone has control of all of the world's computers, he basically notices that someone is like looking into him, and he doesn't like that. So
you can just say since he's God.
Since he's God, he like hacks the computer and is like, "Hey, meet me here," basically. And she's like, "All right, I don't know what this is about, but I'll meet whoever this is there." She meets him there, and of course it's Cyborg. And she tries to get him to join. She's like, "Hey, we need all the people we can get to fight these fucking parademons and stuff." And he says, "Fuck the world."
Fuck. Where's Edgy?
Yeah, and he
Edgy, you can cut yourself on this movie. Fuck the world.
So from there he's been carrying around this duffel bag, and they don't really like, because they don't see, like, he has the cube inside of it, but they don't show you him putting it into the bag. So he's just walking around with this duffel bag.
I mean,
he goes to his mom's grave.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna like dig her out. That was so weird.
That's what I thought too. And I was like, this is getting like really dark.
Yeah, I know.
But no, he just digs it up a little bit, like the fucking.
Well, it was wasn't just his mom's grave. It was his mom's grave and his own grave right next to each other.
Okay, yeah.
And he was digging in his own spot because there's nothing there.
Still, at first, it freaked me out, man.
I didn't gather that. Yeah, I thought it was.
I mean, I like the Frankenstein monster idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
He did the same thing that the humans did when they first got the cube.
Yeah,
and he put 2 inches of topsoil over it that he had just constructed. That's all. It's hidden.
You could probably trip over it because it's probably still sticking out. Yeah. But yeah, he hides it in air quotes. Because his dad earlier had been like, "We gotta hide it, son." So they do that whole thing. Then after that, we see a parademon get Victor's dad, unbeknownst to Victor, obviously. And so then from there we go to the Gotham City Police Department, and they're not thrilled about all these kidnappings that have been going on. And we see Commissioner Gordon, who is played by J.K. Simmons in this version, and he's talking to an officer who thinks that it's Batman, basically.
This is where the shitty-ass bat drawing comes full circle.
Simmons seemed really phoned in for this.
He did, yeah.
Like, he just did not give a shit.
Yeah.
From watching him as J. Jonah,
I think part of that is like this version of Gordon is just like a lot more toned down.
This version of everything.
Yeah,
the Zack Snyder version.
Yeah, but like I don't know how you could have translated J.K. Simmons into that role and had it like work. I don't know.
Yeah,
and we don't see him do enough.
Fantastic actor to just use his just use some exposition and be emotionless. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like Samuel Jackson's Maze Windu. It's like, oh, okay, why?
Yeah. But from there, he's like Gordon assures the other officer that it's not Batman. He's like, I'll prove it. I'm gonna fucking do the bat signal and we'll talk to him about it. So from there, we got Diana, Bruce, and Barry. They meet up. Cyborg is a no-show, but Diana is confident that he'll come around eventually. And they see the bat signal in the sky, and they're like, okay, let's go fucking talk to Gordon. And Barry Allen's like, oh, this is so cool. I do want to go too. Or whatever. He has some quirky thing he says.
Well, they all leave. They do the Batman disappear when
Well, no, we're not there. No.
Okay.
That's part 4.
No.
So yeah, they we go to Atlantis, and we've got Mara, who is played by Amber Heard, who recently has been kind of controversial, just based on her relationship with Johnny Depp and some of the allegations that she made.
Yeah, it was weird. Like I have no problem separating actors from their work. Like some people get really upset. Like I'll still listen to fucking R. Kelly songs. He makes some good music or something, like I'll like. It's easy for me.
Yeah,
to
they do stupid shit. But if they're like,
it's weird. I've never felt that way about seeing an actor and being like, oh,
yeah.
I was just thinking about Johnny Depp's fingers the whole time I was looking at her. I
Wait,
was like, oh.
So what's her thing? I don't think I know about it.
She abused the shit out of Johnny Depp
and then accused him of abusing her.
Right, like physically abused the fuck out of him, like fucked with his fingers.
Well, it's pretty much ruined his career.
Yeah,
he got fired from Fantastic Beasts.
You just look it up, like bruises and shit.
All right.
It's but so it's weird seeing her there, but she's protecting the cube along with some Atlantean soldiers, and Steppenwolf fucking shows up again, and they tussle, and Steppenwolf he is about to kill Mara, but then fucking Aquaman shows up, and granted, like I did miss the part where Steppenwolf and her are fighting, and she like sucks the blood out of his body.
Dude,
okay.
And it's like coming out of his mouth, and it's like, good lord.
Yeah.
Like,
I was gonna ask y'all if the Atlanteans could like pull water straight from people or straight out of someone's body, like Magneto can pull the metal out of someone's body, But apparently, yes.
Only certain ones can. Like, there's different. Like, there's pure-blooded Atlanteans can breathe on land and under the sea. And they have abilities to control water and stuff. Whereas I don't know, the lower, lesser blooded Atlanteans, they can only breathe underwater.
They're kind of like sorcerers. Like,
wait,
not every
Aquaman's mixed, and he's like the most badass one, right?
Yeah, and that's why it's the rules aren't exactly.
I don't know. He's related to
it's some weird thing like that where it's like if you're royal, you can do both.
But Mira's like a sorcerer, a water sorcerer. That's like her stuff.
Yeah, well, and also she's the daughter of one of the kings of one of the Atlantean.
Yeah, so her
groups.
powers are different.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone has that ability.
Yeah. So
but fucking Steppenwolf, when he first shows up, he's like fucking cutting Atlanteans in half.
Dude,
like you see like a body
you
split.
See the blood in the water, and it's like, oh my god.
And he looked, it was cool. He looked like a fucking shark.
Yeah.
Like he looked like a shark just killing people.
Yeah, especially with the way his helmet's formed, like kind of hammerhead almost plowing through the water. It was insane, man.
It just could have used more color. And it was cool. Like his axe has like lightning and electricity around it,
cool,
and it's bubbling in the water.
Yeah,
I'm like, it looked good.
Dude, action wise, he was the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
From there, Aquaman shows up and he saves her, and he gets his ass kicked too, because he can't do it on his own. Even though he's a beefy guy, but he ain't that beefy.
He doesn't have any weapons or armor. Or anything.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, if he had just gotten the trident from,
it's my mom's and I hate her.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess.
She left me on the surface and I hate her and all aliens. But he's like a 30-year-old alcoholic. I'm like, bro, you're not over that? Like, adults have shit in their lives.
Talking to your dad, Tamura Morrison,
right,
and just enjoy life,
right?
Yeah.
How could you not be happy?
Yeah.
That's not canon at this point in the story. Okay, we don't know that yet.
So he gets his ass handed to him by Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf gets the Atlanteans cube and then teleports away. And then Mera does the whole thing to try and convince Arthur to fight. And he's still like, I don't know. And then the scene just sort of ends.
And they did something I appreciate. Thank you. You gave me a one-sentence line that just cleared stuff up for me. Where it's like, if this is the most precious artifact the Atlanteans are keeping for the world to end, why were there only like 5 guys guarding it? And they went, oh, because King Orm's a retard and he doesn't think this is that important. And I went, wow, thank you for giving me that. Just a nugget. Just give me a little bit. Yeah. And it explains it. I'm like, thank you. That's all I ever expect from movie makers. When I'm complaining about scenes and there's no explanation, just give me, I'm easy to please.
Yeah. But before they even do that, after Steppenwolf gets the, oh wait, is that after this? Never mind. I'll let you keep going. I think that's after.
Yeah. So we that's the end of the Atlantis part. So then we go to Victor, who is now going to start an investigation, I guess, into his father's kidnapping. He's like, oh shit, this happened. I guess I got to look into this. So he does care to some degree. We just don't know how much yet. We go back to Chernobyl, and Steppenwolf puts the second cube into the pedestal thing that's formed, and it makes this like weird thing come up, and it forms this big dome around it. And he talks to Desaad.
Yeah, like they're in a nuclear reactor. Or in the
nuclear chimney.
The chimney looking thing, yeah, the huge one. And when he puts the second cube, this like, so when the first one goes in, this like fungal looking alien goop grows up the side of the reactor and covers it. And you're like, ooh. When he puts the second one in, from that goop, like a big fucking spire of just like biomatter shoots up and covers the city that he's in with this like veiny looking membrane that's like pink and red.
Yeah.
And there's like big veins on it, and it covers, and it looks cool.
Yeah. And so he talks to Desaad, who's like, hey, how's it going? Are things going good there? Darkseid wants to know. And he's like, yeah, we got 2 of the cubes now. It's a stronghold, which I guess it's a dome,
it's
but
real nice.
It's looking
as
real
long
nice.
As nobody your dirt, we'll be able to find it.
And he, like, the end of this part is like some weird, like he says some cheesy evil line, and then it's like part 4, and it's like so that's the end of this part. So that's the end of I guess the synopsis for this week. So far, would y'all say that this has lived up to the I guess legendary, I don't know, because like so many people for so long were like, oh, the Snyder cut, it'll fix every issue this movie had, it'll make it a good movie, all this stuff.
It would have to be a different movie.
Yeah. Yes. But real quick, I want to comment on the ending of that last scene. So it's totally pointless for Steppenwolf to check in with Desaad in that scene. Like, he basically says the exact same thing as when he turned in the first cube to him. he's like, oh yeah, well, we got another one. It's like if he was in a video game and he checked in with an NPC and he had to bring these 3 things to the NPC, and the first one you get a little bit more details, and in the second one it's like, oh, 2 out of 3, good job, you got 1 more to go.
Keep going.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Like, why did he even talk to him? It's so pointless.
In my job where I manage my bar, I talk to the restaurant owner, and when I do, I'm like, hey, I heard about this beer coming or something. I'm working on it. I got an email from this guy, and it's coming. I don't just update him when it's there. I go like, hey, got another email. It's in the state, man. It's coming. So we're updated more on it. It's working. So think about that. You know, I'm doing good work here. And so like the updates seem fine.
Dude, yes, but this is a freaking action superhero movie. It's not a bar manager. Like, what?
No, you're right. It's a fucking general taking over a planet. I feel like there's some updates to happen. You could be like, hey.
Okay, don't show us this. We don't need to see this. That's ridiculous.
Nah. Like,
for the movie, it was entirely unnecessary.
Another one, assholes. I'm good at this. I'm a good general.
Sure if this was a real situation, I'm sure they would have talked like throughout this whole goddamn process. But we don't need to see all the minutia of their tiny conversations. We just need to see what tells us to.
He's always like, "Give me an update," and he's like, "This is where we're at," and he's like, "You suck," and then he goes,
"I'm still not letting you talk to him."
Has Darkseid talked yet in these 3 parts? You haven't heard his voice?
No.
No. He talks later. All right.
No spoilers.
I don't want to spoil.
No spoilers.
Damn it.
So I think we're all in agreement that this doesn't live up to the hype that people
I didn't have hype.
I knew it was going to be better than the Whedon cut, and it's better than the Whedon cut.
It is,
and I'm like, okay, I like it in that regard, and that's about that. That's kind of the
they
gist
took a
of it.
turd and they polished it, but not
there
even
are parts.
Some parts are even chunkier, and I'm like, ew.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't need that level of detail for this analogy, my guy.
I traded diarrhea for constipation.
Okay. Goddamn.
I don't think it's okay. I think that's a little harsh. I'd say for me, it's like I think there's a lot of stuff that I like more in this version that I think they do better. But there are some things that are pretty glaring, like the slow motion. That is like just way worse. Ugh. But just on the whole, it's like because like I remember when we watched Justice League together, I was like the original one. I was like, this is fucking too long. It's boring, and maybe it's because I'm like typing as I go that I'm like more engaged with the movie.
No, it's
and so like when you're doing a scene by scene synopsis, you're more like, oh, okay, like I know, like I'm paying attention. I'm not looking at my phone and checking how much longer is left.
They put enough action scenes in there and stuff like that it keeps you entertained. Like it's not all saved up till the end or something.
Yeah,
that a lot of times happens. They sprinkle it throughout and it's appreciated. Like, and the action scenes are really fucking cool. Like
so far, I'm glad that they haven't made Batman the butt of like jokes, and like I don't know if they're gonna continue that in the second half. But I just remember the original one, like he was like the punching bag.
Yeah.
And it was like
because he's a normal human person.
Yeah, and so it was just like, okay, I don't really like that because I don't know, like, am I supposed to think this character is like a leader? Whereas in this, he is like him and Diana are the leaders. And it's cool to see that. But I don't know. I guess that's my take. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add before we wrap things up? I feel like we kind of.
I mean, for me in general, overall, it was like I liked some parts of it. They definitely did. There were more good parts, enjoyable parts than the Whedon cut, of course. There were some things that were worse, and a lot of it left me wanting more in like a bad way. Like I needed more backstory for these characters and development for a bunch of the stuff that happened in this movie. I know, and I know now they can't really change that much, based on how they had it already set up, but it, as we talked about earlier, it just feels so rushed. Just feels so rushed.
Yeah, I like can't overstate enough how much I fucking hate Cyborg's design in this movie. Like, it's
ugly.
So fucking bad. So bad. Like, it's super, like, he looks like...
Only his head is not metal. What?
He looks like... Well, that's the thing.
Okay.
But what am I trying to say? He looks like the fucking, like, where you record audio and you put the foam on the walls, and it's all these weird geometric patterns and shit, and it looks weird. That's what he looks like. That's his design. And in the comics and stuff, you know, I don't want him wearing a white spandex, you know, with goofy little parts, but, like, there's got to be some middle ground, man. Like, the Teen Titan ones is bulky, you know. I don't need to get that one, but fucking, can he not be this super complicated design?
There's some artists out there that can make him look cool.
Dude, it's not hard. He's a robot. Just to get...
Yeah.
He's a cyborg. And, like, his head looks normal, and that's what's dumb. Like, his head looks completely normal with the red eye and the blue dot in his forehead.
It's done poorly, though.
It's a disaster.
Ugh.
Like a mechanic tumbleweed. Like, just like, what I'm looking at. And I mean, I don't know. When they introduced Flash, I wasn't even excited. I was just like, "Fuck! Here's another excuse to use more slow mo." I'm like, I don't want more slow mo. I don't. But I'll give him. I'll say that, like, the Flash's slow mo is good because it makes sense and it's not just stupid for no reason because he thinks it's so cool. Like, Zack Snyder's that dude. It's just this is so fucking cool.
That's fucking Michael Bay.
Yeah,
that's Michael Bay.
Michael Bay's explosions are Zack Snyder's slow mos.
Yeah.
Like,
does the second half of this go that? Does it really? Because I knew there was a lot of slow mo in this before we were talking about it, but now that you've kind of pointed it out and we've went into detail each scene, it's like, wow, there's a lot of slow mo in this movie. Yeah. Holy shit.
So goddamn much. And, like, one every 10 times is cool. But, like, and have we, I don't know if this is more in the second part, but every time Wonder Woman's on screen, have we talked about that?
What?
The background music or the...
I haven't really noticed that. Like, I know people have talked about it, but
I didn't notice it either, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll save it then.
And I watched the movie after you guys had talked about it in the group chat, so... Okay, I'll pay attention next time.
You won't need to.
Yeah, me too. I'm just curious now. Like, I'm excited to see, because I've had some stuff kind of, like, spoiled, because there's just, like, headlines on fucking Google News where it's like, this cameo, and, like, let's show you the picture. Yeah. It's like, oh, thanks for ruining that.
That happened with The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like, the last episode with Luke, I was like, fuck. Like, I saw that online.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to experience it.
Yeah. So, like, I've had stuff spoiled,
but I actually wanted to watch.
I don't know how it's going to play into the movie yet, so I'm excited to see, like, what goes on with that. It's just weird, though, because, like, the one thing I know for sure is that they set this up they set up this movie to have a sequel, but we're not going to ever get one.
Good.
I don't know. It's all a learning thing, you know. They probably could have, I don't know, with more movies in between. Like,
they need a Dave Filoni or they need a Kevin Feige. Until that happens,
they need to restart this universe.
Well, they are. Well, okay,
they screwed it up.
They need to make a goddamn plan.
Yeah, dude, they already screwed it up. It's such a mess already with these movies. I don't know.
4 movies to be just a disaster. Like a goddamn horrific mess. Why?
And they're so long too. They made these very, very lengthy movies that make no sense.
When you put the hero's origin in another movie where it's not the focus, you take so much of their character away. Like, you could have had that time to develop them as a human character, show their weaknesses, their faults, how they overcome it. Where do they get to that point where they can be in the Justice League and be the force for good? And, like, when you do that all in one movie, where are they going to go from there? Are you going to have a Cyborg movie after Justice League? No.
Yeah,
what's he gonna do? He's not gonna have any problems. You fix them all in this
okay,
movie.
I don't agree with that because there are solo movies after Avengers.
Yes, but like,
how's that any different?
I don't know. I think that's kind of weird too. But it's even more egregious in the DC universe because they didn't give them anything beforehand. And like, what comes after these? What comes after this now? What are they gonna do? Like, they've already done Darkseid, and you'll say they defeat him in this. So like, well, they do something. I don't know. But what comes after this to where
I mean, like, it's not a big deal. They just like Thanos tease him, but they already fucking showed a bunch of them already. Like, it's not like the after credits in the first Avengers where they're like Lord Thanos, and then you go, oh, he was behind it. No, like, you knew Darkseid was behind it this whole time, and then when they finally go like, Darkseid shakes his fist at them, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, we knew you were there.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but, I don't know. It's just a weird, like, it's a weird universe, and it's weird that we're still going to be getting movies in this universe. I guess, like, they're doing Aquaman 2, they're doing a third Wonder Woman movie. They are doing an Ezra Miller Flash movie.
No.
Which, like, I don't
after
know.
This? Why after this? God.
I don't know. Well, and like, that's the weirdest one. Like, Aquaman, I understand because it did well. Like, it made a lot of money, especially in China. I think it did like extremely well, which is weird. But
Aquaman was good.
Yeah, and so like that makes sense. And Wonder Woman makes sense. Although Wonder Woman 1984 is a weird one.
I haven't watched that one still. I heard bad things.
But aren't they rebooting Superman too?
What?
Yeah, it's too early on. Yeah, they're rebooting.
And they recasted somebody other than Henry Cavill.
What?
We still don't know that.
What are they doing? They have no idea what they're doing. They're just doing stuff.
No, and
they're like,
what's worse is they're gonna have. I think J.J. Abrams is producing it, so it's like, oh Lord, they're not gonna have any idea of what they want to do. But
that's what I'm saying. They don't need to reboot stuff because they obviously can't handle it. They need to fucking sit down and think about their cinematic universe.
Yeah, and I think you could salvage something good out of this. And people have talked about it. They're like, you could do like an Elseworlds story. Isn't that the like alternate universe thing in DC?
Look, yes, it is, but you devalue your stakes. Your stakes don't seem high anymore when you start doing Elseworld stuff because you're like, it doesn't matter, it's an Elseworld. And then, like, that's what's good about Marvel is it's all in that one world, and you're invested in these characters and stuff. I mean, they go back in time a little bit.
Well, and the next Doctor Strange movie is called Multiverse of Madness.
But you're doing that after 20 movies.
I know, and that's a fair point.
You got to live in that. Like, no, they in this movie they're teasing Elseworld stuff. They do.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well, and even in Batman v Superman, they do with the whole fucking. Well, and I'm like,
the apocalyptic vision.
Yeah.
Oh, that comes back hard.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen that. That was spoiled for me, but I don't know. Like, I think you could find a way to reboot without actually rebooting, where it's like, oh, it's just a different.
Yeah, it just feels like they strapped a jetpack to this fucking series, and they're like, we're doing all of the storylines right now, and it's like, bro, why?
It's not even just that, though. It's like a garbled mess, like kind of all over the place, doing different things at different times that don't come together in a logical manner. The movies don't make sense.
Think about Spider-Man 3. We just talked about it, where they're trying to develop 3 separate villains at the same time. Yeah. Now this movie is trying to develop 3 separate villains and like fucking 4 other heroes that we haven't heard of, or heard from in the universe. And it's like, if Spider-Man 3 was a mess, this is a fucking.
That's true.
Oh my god!
But like, which one's worse though? This or Spider-Man 3? I don't agree with that. I think Spider-Man 3.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right.
But I mean, this has the benefit of like a decade and a half of better technology for like CG and stuff. So it's like,
it just pains me. Like when Spider-Man 3's bad. I mean, that was my favorite Spider-Man story. Was the black suit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. I mean, it's sad that they ruined that. But this is Justice League, man. This is the whole DC universe that you're just fucking up.
Yeah.
And it just really makes and I had to do this thing where it's like, do I even still like DC? Because all of this just seems so stupid to me, and I hate it. And then I rewatched some clips, like, because Darkseid and Superman and Batman and all that, Justice League, and fun, the animated series well. And I remember I enjoyed it as a kid, so I turned that on, watched some clips of that, and I was like, yeah, no, I still fucking love DC.
Yeah.
I love it, and
you just don't like
and
the
it makes me happy.
DCU.
It makes me happy to watch them do it well. And then when I look at the DCU, I'm just like, it almost convinced me I didn't like DC.
That's the like worst bit of this for me, because it's like I know these characters are interesting and they have all this awesome story, like Flash's backstory that you were telling me to watch the animated one for. I shouldn't have to when they're making this DCEU. I should like these should cover this stuff, and like I can go back and watch that. That's good that I'll be able to have this source, but like why? Is this so messed up? Why did they handle it so poorly? And why did they keep putting these things out when it's kind of ruining their brand right now? I don't know. It's kind of insane to me.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways.
That's the thing. Is like, they're going to be in a really weird spot going forward. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, the critical reception of this was a lot better than the Whedon cut, but they've said flat out they're not going to ever do a sequel to this just because it's too much like, I guess, scorched earth. Like, it's not worth trying to build anything off of it.
I agree. Because what, are you basing it off of Zack Snyder's, or are you basing it off of Whedon's?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like, the only thing is, like, the directors of Wonder Woman and Aquaman have said this is the canon version of the movies now, but then that contradicts the Atlantis we see in Aquaman, because in that version they can talk underwater without bubbles.
I'm saying, why the fuck did they do this movie weird before the other ones? It's like, so they jumped the gun. It's hard.
Weird. But I guess, does that kind of wrap up everyone's thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone have anything they want to plug, or?
We never made that fucking.
Yeah, we're gonna do Dinosaur Planet Part 2 this week. I was too sleepy the day we were gonna record that this past week, but Ben and I are gonna do that recording. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Join us next week when we continue our review of Zack Snyder's Justice League with parts 4 through 6. Thanks for listening, and always remember, there are heroes among us, not to make us feel smaller, but to remind us of what makes us great.